on, come on, come on, because that's your man. That's your man, and that, I mean, we all know that's your man, and you still got that nigga on your brain. You know you mad they kept being beat over Ben Simmons. He got something your man don't got.
I'm gonna tell you.
They
Let me
so
break
ass.
down Ben Simmons real quick because I know both of y'all. You want to go in on Jesse, and I know Jess want to talk about Ben. Right? Let me take these comments. The thing about Ben Simmons, right? Anybody with any type of basketball brain that knows basketball, like actually knows basketball, knew that if you are a 6'10" point guard and you ain't got no offensive game, like I asked you, and Jesse, I want you to answer whoever else is in the chat before we switch to a different sport. If you are the point guard in a basketball, you 6'10", and you don't have no offense outside of passing the ball, what makes you think you gonna be good at basketball? If he's our point guard, Jesse, I want you to answer. Whoever else is in these comments, please answer. I want you to hold up, Kev. I'm about to send it to you now because I know you want to get into this too with Jesse. What makes you think that I'm like for real? What makes you think that if you have no offensive game outside of passing a basketball, you're going to be good at basketball?
Hey, Kev, I'm gonna get on your hard head ass. I'm glad you want to come up. I'm gonna get on your hard head ass. Live and living color. I'm glad you want to come up. So send him the link now.
I just sent it.
Well, get on his hard headed ass.
I just sent it, Kev. He said bend his ass. Why are we still talking?
Because Boston got something your man don't got. You, my man, you secretly miss Ben. You secretly miss Ben. Keep it a buck, Jesse. You wish Ben was
That's the
here right now,
breed,
no red bead.
Kev. That's the breed. He said he got a bone to pick with you. I don't know what you just said. Jesse, Kev say a lot. That's why I'm happy, Kev. So when we switch to some boxing, Kev can go talk because I know Kev got a lot to address with me. Kev got a good year long worth of beef to address with me. He said I was.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I got a screenshot. I was wrong about Ben. I thought he would develop. He didn't. Hey Jesse, you see this comment? I mean, Kev, you see this comment? Make sure you screenshot this so we can post this in the group. Screenshot it because I'm on the map.
I got you.
Screenshot it.
I got you. I
He said
got
I
you.
was
I
wrong
got.
about Ben. I thought he would develop. He didn't. We got him, Kev.
Yeah.
We got him, bro. We got him. Except that thing on that damn link, Kev. I just sent it. We got him. Oh shit, we got him.
You see what I
Kev
bring
just
niggas into
screenshotted
the.
it. Yes, we got him. We
I
got him.
bring you see I bring niggas into the
Jesse will
enlightenment, yo.
give
I
Ben a
bring
drop back if he could. You got to move on from Ben, dude. It's been 4
yeah,
years.
Jesse. We know, but Jesse, we not gonna move on from Ben because we know you love Ben. You know you want Ben here. And Kev, I agree with you, Kev. If he had a choice, Kev, to save him B and save Ben from drowning, he gonna save Ben from drowning. He thought Doc Rivers was a good coach. He thought he defended Doc Rivers until his every last breath. That yo, my man Jesse credibility been shot, but y'all niggas get passes because that's y'all man. That's y'all man's. His credibility been shot.
He said, "You still
I'm
talk." Oh
we
shit!
going
There you
you
go.
going to
Hold up.
start
There you go, Kev. On it.
Yeah.
yo
Yo,
Kev go
Who
before
that's on the call with
Kev
you?
you,
Sabri,
Oh, yo, what's up,
the
gang?
one that keep arguing with Arthur every damn day about Caitlin
uh,
Clark.
before we address that, Kev know I got a bone to pick with his hard head ass
About what?
and it's just about that group, Kev. I see you kind of wised up and stop giving that nigga some attention. I see you start there, but your hard headed ass wanted to go back with Jason Whitlock on the group, and I told you to just let that nigga be, yo.
No, I like to troll him sometimes. I like to pick at him a little bit. Sometimes you got to
But like the
remind
pit,
it. Sometimes you got to remind a
but
C word that he a C word.
yo, Kev, but the Jason Whitlocks in the world, his fat ass, like fat ass Whitlock, he feeds off intention. Like fat ass Whitlock, he says dumb shit so he can get that little fix. And that's what that. I'm not going to even give him his name. We're not going to say his name on here. That's what that dude do. That he says dumb ish out his mouth so he can get that fix. And I'm like, Kev, don't go back and forth with
So this
this
the,
weirdo. Like.
this I never address his talking point. I just tell him what he is. Like, bro, you always tap dancing,
I
bro.
give
You
you
don't got
that.
nothing good to say about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't be like, well, in Shador's defense, no, I don't do that. I'm like, bro, you are a C word. Do you
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
stop? Like
yeah,
that's
I give you that.
I ain't looking for engagement with them. I just like, dudes like that, you kind of got to remind them who they are. And, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy that you can sit up there all day long. And it's like, whatever's successful in black, he going to attack it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
That's a fact. That's a
And then
fact. He's a Kev, but he's a serial C word, yo. He goes from group to group, and he do that.
doing the
He
same thing. See, I
he
only see him in that
you
group.
go. Yeah, he go. We had a group called Real NBA Talk, and like yeah, he goes from group to group, and his thing was before Shador was even into the picture, it was constantly making posts about LeBron. It was constantly coming at LeBron. It was constantly attacking LeBron. He was attacking, but he a serial C word. Like that nigga breakfast. He eats the seeds for breakfast. That's that nigga breakfast. So that's who he is. He Jason Whitlock in the flesh. He's still and Jesse, before my man Kev do his thing, why you so mad if you let go, why you so mad that people talking about Ben, my nigga? Why you so mad? Are you still mad that Ben didn't pan out like you want Ben to pan out? It's okay. The Ben the
Don't
Ben
worry,
the
Jesse. We
Ben
got
is
you on screenshot. You admitted it finally. We've been trying to get Jesse to admit that for a couple years now about him being wrong about Ben. And he finally admitted it. Don't worry, Jesse. Don't worry. Before me and Kev get into our boxing talk, and I'm gonna bring my man the boxing source on it, because Kev got a lot to address with me. Me and Kev got a lot of back and forth. We got. Do we go stick on the Sixers? I'm gonna let Kev go ahead and vent his part on the Sixers though. I gave my whole 5 minutes. I had Sabri so quiet he didn't know what to say. I had to start talking about other stuff. Kev must have had some malfunctioning. But anyways, yeah. But this is all I was saying, right? Didn't Embiid? Oh, shut the hell up, Jr. He trying to be funny. Didn't Ben and Embiid go to the same? That's a cop out to still talk about Ben. When he said we trying to cop, I'm not copping out. Yes, Jesse, I'm not copping out. All we asking is both of us is ask. All three of us want to know, bro. We just want to know, bro. Hold up. You back? You back, Kev? Hold up. Get your mic together.
I can't hear you at all. It sound real bad and choppy, bro.
Yeah, your Jones
The
sound
mic sound
choppy.
crazy.
Exit it and come back in. Yeah, listen for Jr. My man, the source. He gonna be. Yeah, hey, Abdul, you missed a lot. I went crazy. I had to go off on Embiid. I understand it, bro. That's your man. But I just had to call a spade a spade. I'm gonna chop that clip and post it so you can see it. I had to go off on Embiid, bro. Let's focus on. Hey, shut the hell up. JR laughing. He ready to come in here and start talking about boxing. I'm gonna give you a little boxing lesson, Sabri. That's why I wanted Kev on here, because he gonna talk about. I want you to start being able to engage with us on boxing. So I said I'm gonna get Sabri some school. But here I'm gonna let you see this comment. Let's focus on the YMB. Jesse. I said it, bro. I moved on from Embiid. Embiid can't get us past the second round because he's going to miss 2 to 3 games in the first round. He's never going to be healthy. As great as Embiid is, all-time great, generational talent. I'm not putting nothing past what he is. But the fact still remains is you cannot depend on Joel Embiid for the simple fact that Joel Embiid, we don't know what we're going to get out of him health-wise. I've been saying that, and I've been saying it. Joel Embiid, as great as he is, you don't know what you're gonna get out of him health wise, and it's no longer a point to build your team around. We got the third overall pick. That was the blessing that we could got. You don't like I keep seeing people in the group. Oh, I'm in 360 group, and in each one of them, they keep posting the same dumbass shit about trading down, trying to get an extra pick, trade down. Carl said something about you trade the pick to trade down and get a good, valuable role play. And no, you don't do none of that. You don't do none of that at all.
Bro, the whole joint is choppy, bro. I might have to bow out.
Yeah, your John is real choppy. But yeah, it takes a team. No, do it. It do take a team. It takes a team, but you can't build the team around a guy that you don't know whether he's going to be healthy. And then especially going into this season, like Sabri tried to break down, oh, he should be ready by October. I said no. His body, the injury should be healed by October, but he still got a condition to get in shape just to be able to play. And then once he plays, he has to get in the game shape. I don't expect to see Joel Embiid till after Thanksgiving. That's just me personally. I don't know how you feel, Kev. I don't know how you feel, Abdul. I don't plan on seeing him till. Thank you, Jesse. Now this is
Why
what we
Kev?
agreed, Jesse. Jesse, this is what I'm talking about. See, this is why I say whenever you don't go to happy hour taking shots, when you ain't at the crib in
Yo,
your bar at the house getting drunk and twisted, you think you don't make this shit complicated. We got the third overall pick. Either you get Dylan Harper and you put that big 6'4", 6'5" guard around point guard that can play make around Maxey, so you don't have two midgets in the backcourt, or you get the wing that could turn into a possibly Tracy McGrady or Kevin Durant type of, not Kevin Durant. That's too much extending first. You take that for him, man. That's what you do. I think that. Hold up real quick, y'all.
Kev, why Kev Joe was selling like the freaks coming out? Nah, he was selling that Joe. That robotic Joe was crazy. He had the robot. He had the Houdini going on back there. Yo, Smitty, what's that? Yo, we can't hear you. Mute it, Smitty.
Hold up, y'all. Give me 30 seconds. I'm gonna get back on the camera. 3 seconds, but y'all can talk. Go ahead, Sabri.
Definitely got to be in shape, but I keep hearing build around the young guys. You know, does that exactly look like? You got Paul George coming in to mentor Ace Bailey. You got PG will be a good mentor for Ace Bailey. So yeah, that's building around the young guys. You got Maxi, you got Maxi, the young gun. You got McCain coming back off injury. You build around those guys, you're gonna be good.
Yeah,
My man
no,
talking.
most definitely. Oh, this is all I'm
My
saying,
my
right? Before we switch up, this is all I'm saying. It's a rebuild. I'm Jesse. You right. You don't build no more around Embiid. This couple of years going, we got to build around Embiid. I'm not knocking that. We got to build around Joel. We got to build around him because financially, you hear bozos in the group talking about, oh, you trade this, you trade him, and just take whatever second round picks and wash up. No, you don't do that because that's not how contract and business works. You don't do none of that shit. What you do is just like we talked about earlier. You freaking keep the man here until the contract is either buyoutable or until it's freaking tradable. Because somebody will say, F it, we'll take that last year or two, right? That's what you do. I'm not disputing none of that. You definitely do that. But what you got to do in the meantime is you got the third overall pick. You take fucking you take Abdul, not Abdul. You take Ace Bailey or you take Dylan Harper. You don't make things more complicated than what they are. It is easy and simple as that. You got Ace Bailey and freaking Dylan Harper. You either take the guard that's gonna make a backcourt a reasonable backcourt, or you take the wing that because you need wing players that could possibly turn into another Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum for it.
But before we get up out of here, before I know because y'all about to get into y'all boxing thug because the Timberwolves beating because I'm a casual boxing fan, like, but is that the
You a tank
Timberwolves
fan?
beat?
That's all right, man. Don't let Kev scare you. You a
Tell
tank
man,
fan,
you gotta
bro.
start somewhere, bro.
You a tank
Yeah,
fan. Don't let Kev scare you
I'm
out
not
of here.
even. I'm not even a Tate fan. My top
Hey,
three
bro, you
boxers right
told me
there.
you was a tank fan, bro.
Yeah,
Tank,
I
tank,
just stop capping,
tank,
dog.
Tank popped back up on Twitter with some cheetah draws on, looking like Lotto.
See, I knew you was
God.
gonna miss the point. Kev. He cut the cornrows. That's why the point of it.
Yeah, with his jeans down and his crop top and his cheetah draws on, you freak.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. The Timberwolves beating the brakes off the Thunder right now, so that series about to go 2-1.
But nah, Jesse,
The
right? We might get lucky and B stay healthy for a playoff run. If not, then the young guys develop. That's the whole point. See, Jesse, when you don't drink, what type of good thoughts you can have?
He said he'd be drunk all day.
Yeah, when he not drunk, he has
uh,
good thoughts. That's what
no,
me, Kev,
no,
both of you, the
tell that,
other
tell
Kev,
that, tell that,
all of
tell
us
that
are
chump,
saying.
tell that chump to come up here and click that link and face his music, man. We gotta talk, man.
Jesse not
that
coming
that
through. That's why you think he won't come in the sports forum group. They not gonna let him turn the comments off when he's getting
Oh
cooked
nah, they would
like you
get
do
on
in the
Jesse.
Sixers group.
Jesse too mature for that crowd, man.
Carl's brother runs that group. He not letting him turn the comments off.
You talking about you too mature that crowd. That's the mascot that's saying dumb shit with y'all in y'all circle. He the mascot of dumbass
No.
takes.
Jesse, my guy. Jesse good for
And
it. We just
Jesse, my
laugh on
man,
Uh,
he's the bid. Jesse's the old
No,
head.
that's your
He like the bid off.
that's y'all man. That's y'all man. Look, as far as he seemed like a solid dude overall, but his takes, that's y'all man. But he's the old head of dumbass takes.
No,
We
no, his
seen.
takes. Nah. His
I
takes not
I will
bad. He just
screenshot. I will screenshot every last one of this this
It
dumbass
doesn't
takes.
matter.
And
We
you
got the
know,
perfect screenshot on him. You know what the
I'm gonna say
perfect
this.
screenshot
I'm gonna
is?
say this. I'm gonna say this about Jesse. His takes might be off, but they don't be dumb takes. They don't be crazy joints. You know what I'm saying? They just be a
Yeah,
matter of preference. They be a preference thing.
that's all it is.
He not the boy that like, I can't believe the Sixers took Furkan Korkmaz over Pascal Siakam. Nigga, shut up. The fuck out of here. Like somebody ever gonna cry about who went 26 and who went 27. Shut
eh,
up, bro.
Abdul, pause before I get up out of here. Pause. I'm chilling in my shorts right now. Not on some
Hey,
take
yo, bro,
ish.
no Diddy, man. I ain't with this, bro.
Not on some take ish.
Oh, man, we about
Not
to
on
talk
some take
boxing.
ish.
Get up out of here, Sabrina. You feeling this nigga,
Not
And
on
I
man.
don't
some
even
take ish. Not on some take ish. Oh, but I'm about this Joe, y'all. I'm gonna
Now,
be
and
in the
look,
Sabrina,
comment.
let the Kev and the boxing source know you a Tank fan and you ain't scared to hide it.
Why you keep saying I'm a Tank fan, dog?
yo,
I'm
Cause
it
a
you
ain't
Tank.
nothing
told
Why
me
you
wrong.
that
keep saying?
Yo, it ain't
you be
nothing wrong with
messaging
being
me
a
telling me to take
bro.
these
It
shit up.
ain't nothing wrong with being a Tank fan. The problem is when you be a fan boy.
But
That's the
he's a
difference.
So,
fanboy though. He don't want y'all to
No,
know
don't
that.
do that. Don't do that to him.
yo, he sitting up here. That's what this nigga do. He the camper of the year, yo. Don't let this nigga fool y'all, man. He the camper of the year, man.
All right,
I'm a boot.
Sabrina. Cause I know you
I'm a
ain't gonna do
Boots
nothing
fan.
but be quiet. Sabrina, I know you ain't gonna do nothing but be quiet on this
I got
conversation. It was good
I
talking
gotta
to
make
you.
some wrestling content for sure. I'm about to go drop some wrestling content. But I'm a Boots fan. I'm a Boots fan.
That's
I
great.
mean,
We all three up here boots fans. So
yeah,
we
I'm a
got a
Boots
full
fan.
boot.
Yeah, you ain't
And
gonna
I
do
But
was
that
a
to
all
me.
right,
Wilder.
Sabrina.
I was a Wilder fan when he was in his prime too. That was
Wilder
on
was
him
ass.
too. Yeah.
Wilder was ass. But all right, Sabrina. Yeah, you killed
I'm
me.
out of here. Don't disrespect my guy like that. I'm out of here, yo. All right,
Well,
y'all.
get out of here because you ain't gonna have no comeback. At least Kev and Boxing Source gonna give me some comeback for what I'm about to
Hey,
say.
and real quick, I don't want Jesse to think I'm defending him. I still don't like him. I just was, being crazy with it. Like, hey,
Don't
Jesse, I still
nobody
don't like
like
you,
you,
man.
Jesse. But
I
yo,
don't- I don't-
Source, you hear me?
Yeah, what's going on?
What's up, Source? This my man Kev. Kev, this my man JR, the Boxing Source, man.
What's up, JR? How you, bro?
Yo, chilling, man, chilling. You see your head
Hey,
in box.
hey, Kev, man, I need you to grind him up for 30 seconds before we get in the box. Because he
About
said
what?
he dropped the comment. I'm going to post the comment real quick, man, because you going to get mad when I see this. He said, he said, didn't Embiid and Ben Simmons go to the same college?
No, they
Now,
went Kentucky and
he
Kentucky
was
and
trying to
LSU.
troll us and be
I'm
funny,
sorry,
bro, because
Kansas
he
and
Nah,
knows
LSU.
we're
nah,
Yeah.
360 fans up here.
nah. I mean, the thing is, man, yeah,
But I'm not here to be like.
they gotta figure out how to rebuild. You know what I'm saying? So it's either are you gonna, keep investing in Embiid? I mean, what is he in, like year 8? But he's had those serious injuries. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is going to be the direction of the franchise? Are they going to keep like having him as the centerpiece, or are they going to figure out a way to move on?
Man, me and Kev both just said it, bro. You move on. Unfortunately, financially, you can't trade the man or buy him out right now. So the best bet is we got the 3rd overall pick. Don't complicate things. You take Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, move forward with that. We're
Whoever's there.
probably
You
not going
take
to keep
whoever's
our
there.
draft pick next year because unless we go out there and tank again, we're not getting a top 4 pick. So you lose that, but the following year you got 2 first-round picks. Next year we got 3 second-round picks. You can turn 2 of those second rounds and maybe get a late first round and go with that. But you just got to build forward and just keep going. But all that, still trying to build around that guy. Next time, send me a link so I can talk. Don't worry, Jesse. You know what? Just for
So,
you,
so
Jesse.
look,
Monday, me and you gonna talk. Me, you, and Kev, and Kev free. Monday, Jesse,
look.
we gonna talk.
Let me say this about Embiid, right? I'm gonna be candid. I'm gonna be as honest as I could be. I'm an Embiid fanboy, right? I am. Because I've seen the great things that he can do when healthy, when available. When people call him soft, I don't think injury prone is soft. I
No
think
sir.
soft is when you go out there and get thrown around, pushed around. I ain't never seen Embiid get pushed off his square ever.
Yeah, yeah.
When he out there, nobody can move him. So I'm a fanboy in that aspect, and I'm a fanboy to the thought of that. I still hold that hope that we can get one or two more last hurrahs out of him before it's over. You know what I mean? See, so this is the thing. I can admit it because I'm a Sixers fan. I'm honest. You know what I mean? And I don't want to believe that we've seen the best of him and it's over. I don't want to believe that because
Me
on
either,
paper,
but I'm just
on,
I don't
on,
either, but I'm just at the point where I'm like, the definition of insanity is repeating
so
the same
yeah, for
cycle
sure,
over and over again, thinking
for sure,
thinking you're gonna get different outcomes. I'm at the point
absolutely.
where you build a full team where it can compete. If he can come in, you add a generational talent
Yeah,
without subtracting talent.
then
If he can't, then you still can keep going forward.
and it's like an abusive relationship for me, right? It's like one of them situations where the man is abusing a woman, and then he goes and buys her a Rolex, and then all's forgiven until he does it again. That's kind of how it is with Embiid with me, right? Because he'll show up for one game, give you 35, 12, and 6 assists and 4 blocks, and he's like, oh, he back. Then he missed the next 8 games. So when I get that one game, I'll be like, come on, man, I know you could do this back to back. But the reality is that it's probably not going to happen. So from as a Sixers fan, seeing this boy for so long, it's like, damn, I don't want to believe that we've only gotten like 400 games out of this boy in like 8, 9 years. I don't want to believe that. So, I'm just kind of like I'm at that place now. But then when we move that, when I move my fanboyism from it, I'm a Sixers fan before I'm an Embiid fan. I'm a Sixers fan before I was an Iverson fan. When Iverson got traded, it was kind of like fuck him, like hey, you out of here, see you.
Me
I
too. I
want the
love
best
you,
for
AI.
you.
You my man,
Yeah,
but
but you ain't here no
basketball
more.
don't
We moving
stop.
on. And I had a conversation with somebody. I don't like to say a whole lot in that group, but I'll talk to you in private. But I have like legitimate sources very, very, very close to the Sixers. And I had a conversation with somebody, and I would never say who. But we had a conversation, and he was kind of wondering if Embiid is actually older than listed.
Sheesh. Oh
Um,
Ooh,
yeah, because he is from
w-
overseas.
well, look at yeah, he's from Africa, and we've seen the history of African ball players being a little older than listed and everything like that.
yeah,
Um, and but to be 31 with chronic knee injuries like this,
Sheesh.
yeah. Nah,
it's cause for
boy,
wondering like how
Hey,
is he
hey,
30
you might have opened a can of worms with this one.
is he 33, is he 34, you know what I
Is
mean?
he 37?
No, he ain't 37, man.
nah.
But you get what I'm saying, though. It's just things to think about. You know what I mean? Like to have those type of issues that young and only have played 400 games, and you picked up basketball at 16 years old. You don't have that many miles on your body for real, for real.
Hell
You
no,
only
you but
play
you only been playing ball for
how
12 and
many years?
13
How many
years
years
if
at
you
college?
on 30.
How many years at
Right.
college did he play? How many years at college did he play? One or two?
One.
One. Play one
One.
year of college, so
Him
that's
and
30
him and
games.
Andrew Wiggins played their freshman years together.
And in high school, you play, let's say what, 30 games a year? 20,
Yeah.
20 to
Now
30
high
games a
school,
year.
yeah, depending on how far you go in your
So
city and
so we'll
state.
say in
Mhm.
we'll say in high school he played 100 games. In college he played another 30, and then in the NBA he played 400. How much basketball is that? It's not that much. Never made it past the second round. So it makes you wonder. And when he said that to me, I was like, damn, that's some shit. And he didn't say that the organization speculates that. No, it was just me talking to him, and he was just saying like his thoughts. Like
Joint.
I wonder to
Damn.
myself. You know what I mean? And I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
that's
man.
food for thought.
We went to like a couple private schools over in Florida
He went
or
to
something.
Montverde or something like that. One of them
Yeah,
Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mount
it was
Verdi.
yeah.
I
Montverde.
think he went to the same. Not Ben went to IMG. He went to Monteverdi. Yeah,
No,
he went.
Ben went to Montverde.
Oh, they both went to the same. I thought
Ben
Ben
went
went to
there.
IMG with Russell D'Angelo.
Nah, that was Montverde. I think Ben was
Oh,
Montverde.
they might. So yeah, they all went to the same school. Ben just went after Embiid.
Yeah, I
But
think it
yeah,
was. I
man, to
think it was
switch up off
Montverde.
the box, let's get to some boxing though, because me and Kev got some elephant in the room to address, and we got the
Huh.
source to let us know what's the best. So Kev, I want to bring you in. Actually, the source we can go off basically what me and you was talking for a good 30 minutes about last night. You want to cap? And I know my man Kev will love to talk about this subject because he hates this motherfucker. He wants Bud to fight him so bad. And he
Oh,
said he
Canelo?
wants Bud to beat his ass in the grocery store.
Oh, Tiafimo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tio
when
Fimo
you
and his
listen,
old
listen.
boot shit.
Nah, Tiafimo need to be choked out. Like Teofimo need to be begging for air.
Yeah, yeah.
It's easy to
That's
punch on him. I'm talking about he need to be, yo, somebody get this motherfucker off of me. Like, help me.
Shit, I mean, according to sources, shit, and some people I know, shit, that's what Keyshawn and his brothers did to his own daddy, and he ain't
Yeah,
even
and
help.
they said he
yeah,
stood there on his Martin Luther King. I heard like, oh, stop it, stop it. No,
Yeah, everybody
you better
relax.
swing on them niggas.
yep.
Yeah, right. Someone just put their hands on
That's,
your pop
that's
who's
basically
in
what
your
happened.
life.
It's one thing if you wasn't there. It's another thing you stand there and watch it. They don't respect you or your daddy. Now do something.
Yep.
Damn right. You a boxer at the end of the day, so you supposed to fight and shouldn't be no problem to you. But yeah, man, and we gotta ask you that source and me was talking about it. We've been talking about, you know, what's crazy before this even came out with Turkey winning it. Our man Topic had brought it up, and me and Jr. was both like, bro, T.O. at 135 can't argue his resume. 140, you done had a couple. You got the Ring magazine, which is one of the most coveted belts in boxing,
He got off
and
on Josh Taylor. He got off on Josh Taylor
he
though.
got off. I ain't gonna lie,
He
he
got
made
off on
Josh
Yeah,
Josh
Taylor
Taylor.
but
silly. But I'm like, bro, there's a lot at 140 that you ain't accomplished. If Boots was at 140 and you was at 135, me and JR were both like, hell no, Boots go in there for it. Because he did that at 130. But at 140, you ain't calling Gary Antoine Russell out. You ain't calling Africa out. You ain't calling Steve Matias.
Well,
You ain't
well,
calling none of these other champs out. But you want to have a video game dream and fight
let
Boots,
me.
who's a
I'm gonna
killer
tell
at
y'all.
his weight.
I'm gonna tell you what Teofimo play is, right? He called out Crawford, knowing Crawford had the Canelo fight lined up. He knows what's going on. He was in that cut. He was in Canelo's camp. So you clout chasing. Then you call out Boots for a fight, knowing that Boots said, basically, I got 2 more fights at 47. I'm trying to get undisputed. So you call him out, knowing that you don't have a belt for him to get. Why don't you call out one of the champions and get a belt get a fight with Boots that way? You don't call out
That's what
Barrios or
I'm
Norman.
saying.
You calling out Boots, knowing that Boots only got 2 more fights. And I know people close to Boots, and Boots really ain't going to be at 147 past 2025. This is it for him. So
uh
he's got to.
uh uh it could be a couple more months, but that's a whole
Well,
nother
I mean,
story.
the general thought is that after 2025, he's trying to collect these straps before the year is out, and then he's
Yeah,
going to
that's
move
what
to
I've been hearing
54.
Nah,
too.
he
JR knows some
it's a
shit.
wrap.
I just heard that he trying to go undisputed. He wants that Norman or Barrios fight before
It's
the
a wrap. It's a
Yeah,
wrap.
he wants. So Teofimo knows this. He's armed with this information. So you're calling out
he
guys
can
who
make Boots
are.
look bad. I know he is. I can
He's
No,
call
calling
him
out.
out knowing he's
no,
not gonna stay that small.
no,
I can
But
call him out, make him look bad.
no.
but if we go back to who Teofimo really is, let's go back to 135 when he had everything but the WBC and Devin had it, and he tried to hide behind super champion status. I guess he had the super champion, right? The franchise
He
champion,
had
rather, not super champion. He had the
what they
franchise belt.
call the daggum franchise
He had the
championship.
franchise. He had the franchise WBC. Devin Haney called him out for a fight. Devin was begging Teofimo for a fight. Teofimo went with his mandatory instead of unifying the belts. Somebody tried to tell me the other day that the IBF would have stripped him. No, the IBF would have signed off for him to fight for undisputed. Unifying belts always takes precedence over mandatory. So they're not going to. The IBF's not going to strip Teofimo because he wants to fight Devin Haney for undisputed. It's just not going to happen. They're not going to prioritize a fight with Kambosos over Devin, knowing what's at stake. It's not going to happen. Teofimo was like, "Oh, I'll get to him when I feel like it." Now all of a sudden you want to run around calling everybody out. Everybody's supposed to stop what the fuck they doing to accommodate your bitch ass. Fuck
Nah,
out of here.
he,
I don't. And I used to, I was a hardcore Teofimo fan back in the day before all this racist shit. The first time I saw Tio was on TV, and then Top Rank was showcasing him on a lot of Bud undercards. He fought on the Mean Machine undercard,
yep,
and he fought on the
yeah,
Amir
yeah.
Khan. He fought on the Amir Khan Terence Crawford undercard. And I watched him stop 2 people. And then when he started headlining the events, I went to the fight where he fought Sandor Martin when he was questioning if he still had it. I was at that fight, and I
Oh
thought
my
Teofimo
God.
lost. I thought he lost that fight. He did lose that fight.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he kind of started to unravel, and I just ain't been messing with him. Now that once he started the racist stuff, I said, "Oh yeah, this boy got to go." I've never liked somebody so much and then started hating them so much. That's never happened to me anywhere on any level in any sport ever.
All
And
right.
it was a heel. And real quick, let me get this off. And it was a heel turn that wasn't even necessary. You had fans. People liked you. You were young. You were engaging. You were talented. You put on a show in the ring. You were likable outside of it. I met him at when Jason Rosario and what's that J Rock fought at Temple, and I talked to his dad. I talked to T.O. and his dad in the hallway. They were moving around. It was a top rank event, and I'm like, yo, these some cool ass dudes. I like these dudes. Man, I can't stand them niggas now. Man, I can't stand them niggas.
Go ahead, Jr. You said you had some
I'm done.
Go ahead, Jr. You had some stuff you wanted to cook up.
Teofimo pretty much started off as a prima donna after his win against Vasily Lomachenko. He was up to like an 11-1 underdog, winning to win by decision against Lomachenko, and ended up getting that win. Once he got that win, he felt like he was on the top of the world, mainly because of how the quote-unquote mainstream media boosted up Vasily Lomachenko, talking about Vasily Lomachenko was like the greatest thing since sliced bread, when he in reality wasn't. So when Teofimo got that win over Vasily Lomachenko, he felt like he took over that spot as the mythical #1 guy in boxing, right? And so he felt like everybody around him should treat him as such, including his own promotional company. So when he did win all those titles, and the next fight got brought up, which was Kambosos, he felt that Top Rank should pay him an extraordinary amount of money in order for him to have that fight. Now, given this is just coming off of us getting away from lockdown, because remember that fight with Lomachenko, there were no fans for that fight. So now they're trying to get more, people to watch these events. And now Teofimo feels like, hey, since I beat Lomachenko, I'm the man. I'm the one that should command all of this, right? So when they went ahead and they negotiated, Top Rank was like, nah, you don't deserve all this. We don't know who you are or what your status is to be a headliner. So Teo said, you know what? Screw it. Let's just have this thing be a purse bid. And the mistake that was made was when that purse bid happened, Triller bid $6 million for it. So we thought it was worth like $4 million right off the rip.
I forgot about Triller.
But then Triller ended up folding, right? So that meant, oh, well, you lose out on that much money. So it goes from being paid $4 million to being paid probably half that, if that. Going up against Kambosos, and then you lose. So now you lose to Kambosos. What's your overall value now? You see what I mean? And now fast forward, he gets the ability to become a 2-division lineal champion, beating a guy in Josh Taylor who the fight before should have lost in his bout, right? So now he's like, oh, I beat the top guy at 135 and the proverbial top guy at 140. Now I should be the man again. And then he has that whole thing where he's boasting that he's the guy again after the Josh Taylor fight. And yes, I was at the Sandro Martin fight too. And that was at the big room in Madison Square Garden. And you've seen how many people, or the lack thereof, that were in attendance for that fight. So now he's like, okay, I'm the top guy. I'm the WBO champ. Let's see what I could do in order to try to get some buzz. He starts this BS, which is absolutely stupid. You talk about what you talked about Tank Davis. Stupid. You said what you said about Terrence Crawford. Stupid. You said what you said about Keyshawn Davis. And you're the one that sent that stuff over to Keyshawn Davis's room. Stupid.
And if you didn't, you claimed.
How about that?
Stupid.
And was laughing. He was laughing about it.
And now
I said, and if he didn't, he claimed it. So even if you didn't,
if he didn't do it, he wanted us to believe that he did.
Yeah, right. But here's the thing with Teofimo Lopez and Top Rank. They are absolutely tired of Teofimo Lopez. They're at their last straw with them. So, to be honest with you, this whole boots talk is actually stemming from last year.
Yeah.
Because after the fight that Teofimo had with who was it, Steve Claggett, they're like, you know what? We had this thing here. We put you out there against Jermaine Ortiz. We put you over here in Miami Beach over with Steve Claggett. We're pretty much like, we can't get nothing with you. You're not really worth anything. So we're pretty much done with you. So, okay, let's do this. we got a couple guys in our camp. We got Keyshawn. We got Brian Norman Jr. How about those fights? He's like, no. Okay.
Right, and you should want to fight Keyshawn because Keyshawn or one of his brothers, which basically means
Keyshawn
that
Davis not only called him out
on your parents. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not like you hate your dad. Your dad is in your life and you love this man. And he loves you. And if one of them put their hands on your dad. And all you did was, like Kev said, chose to take the Martin Luther King approach. Hey, everybody relax. Violence is not the fact. Man, fuck all that. He put his hands on your daddy, man. You supposed to be fighting right then and there. And then calling y'all promoter, hey, you need to set up a fight. We need to get in that ring.
Not only that, Keyshawn Davis calls him out and says, hey, send the contract. I done told people within the Top Rank office over in Las Vegas, go ahead and make this fight with Teofimo Lopez. I'll take it even a step further. You talk about what happened last May when they had the whole thing with Canelo and Munguia, right? They had the whole Box Fan Expo. Teofimo Lopez was one of the people that appeared in that Box Fan Expo. Guess who showed up to his podium? Keyshawn Davis.
When he was reading that book, and Keyshawn was like, yeah, so what made you say that stuff about me?
Yeah, but even outside of that, like Keyshawn stepped to him, and yet he don't want to, go ahead and, return that fire, or as the saying goes, all call outs are mandatory in some instances. He didn't want to respond to that.
Because he calling out everybody. He calling everybody out who got business going on already.
Yeah, they got business going on already.
You called out everybody who made their intentions clear, what they got going on, and it had nothing to do with you when they made these intentions clear months ago.
But how is it that you turned down a fight with Brian Norman Jr., who was elevated to the WBO welterweight championship? You turned down the fight with Subriel Matias, and you turned down the fight
Gary Antoine out, who also got a belt in your same weight class.
Yep. And you also initially turned down the fight with Boots Ennis last year. But I think you already seen what the play was with Top Rank. They had basically been done with you. So actually, the fight that he had in Cinco de Mayo weekend, that was a bailout plan. Top Rank really didn't want to do anything with Teofimo Lopez. They just said, hey, if y'all want to go ahead and pay Teofimo this amount to fight Arnold Barboza Jr., fine, go right ahead. We'll wash our hands with that.
Yeah.
But they were thinking that Arnold Barboza Jr. could be a fighter that could beat Teofimo Lopez, but he wasn't. So that is why it was revisited that Boots Ennis could be a potential opponent for Teofimo Lopez. But as of right now, we know what Boots' intentions are basically going to
go undisputed. And what's wrong with that? Say if a fighter tells me, I fight for the money, I look at you and say, every one of your fights better be top dollar money. If your fighter says, I'm fighting for legacy, I know you better be fighting good fights. Like, one thing about it, I'll troll Kev because he likes Dev. I like Dev. One thing I respect about Devin Haney, he says, man, I'm fighting for legacy. I'm going to get the money, but I want to fight for this legacy. I want to go undisputed and this and that. Because, all right, I better expect to see you fighting for belts, a tough fight. I love Tank because at least Tank is real enough to say, well, just now started happening with a lot of these boxers. He says, man, I don't give a fuck about none of that. I'll fight all them dudes if you put them in front of me. But if the money not right, I'm not fighting.
Who said that? Devontae?
Yeah.
Man, tank full of smoke, man. Tank full of hot air.
Oh, shit.
No.
Devontae Davis full of hot air, bro.
No.
What you think it is? So let Kev know, because Kev, he's a knucklehead when it comes to Tank.
I'm gonna let him cook and let me go behind him.
Well, here's the thing, right? When Tank Davis was with Mayweather Promotions, he actually wanted to smoke with some of those top guys initially. Floyd didn't want that. So he said, and Tank was kind of like adamant at it. So Floyd was like, okay, cool. Listen, okay, you think it is good? You think you got skills? Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Listen, I'll put you in there with Pedraza. Let's see what you could do. If you can beat Pedraza, then maybe we could do something.
Yeah, like I know
really thought
knowing they can't. Tank could say a lot about how Floyd was doing business with him, but he's not putting it all the way out there because Tank like fuck it. But there's a
You
lot of
really
And
stuff Tank
thought
could
I see.
say.
My
Floyd
opinion on
really
Floyd with
thought that
Javante is
Pedraza could have put something on Tank at
Yeah,
that
Tank
moment.
that I talked to a lot of people that's with the money team, and they said it. They like, nah, we thought Pedraza was gonna win that fight. We did not think Tank was ready. It's just
Mhm.
Tank and
Yeah,
Floyd
they didn't think he was
really
ready.
seeing eye to eye. So Floyd thought he was gonna be able to get one off on Tank, and Tank was
Yeah.
able.
I don't believe that, man. I don't believe that
What you
You
believe
you
in,
don't
Kev?
you don't have to.
because
Hey, hold on. You don't have to believe it, but I'm telling you, that's what it was. That
but
is
remember what
exactly what it was.
Tank was like. I don't want to say crying because I'll criticize a fighter, but I won't disrespect the fighter. You know what I'm saying? There's
Right.
certain things I won't say, certain things I won't. I won't talk about his mom. I won't talk about his kids. Certain stuff I won't do, but I
That's
will
why
talk
I don't.
about.
I can be real active on Twitter, but I don't be as active as I should because I be seeing a lot of them
Yeah,
dudes be
they
drunk
get
talking
crazy.
about
They
their
get crazy
family.
over
I be
there.
like,
Yeah,
nah, I'm stay out of
yeah.
this.
So just every opinion of mine is really rooted in boxing with Javante. And when I heard him say, "Oh, I thought they were trying to set me up to lose against Pedraza," I'm like, "Well, nigga, you're a boxer. Boxers fight. You fight people. You know what I'm saying?" And I think really Floyd was kind of pushing him into the fire. And I feel like Tank was a little hesitant because even right now, it kind of shows like he said he had a hit list, and I don't see anybody on that hit list being in his crosshairs. I don't see anybody. If he would have beat Lamont Roach, he'd probably be trying to fight Jake Paul. You cool with fighting Jake Paul at 195 pounds, but y'all told us that Devin Haney was too big at 140. So I struggle to believe that you really want these fights. A lot of
Uh,
Tank fans.
okay.
Let me hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, bro. A lot of Tank fans told us that Floyd was the reason why these fights wasn't happening. But since Floyd's been out the picture, it's been more of the same. So at what point do we hold Javante accountable? And again, these are just boxing opinions. These ain't personal attacks, nothing like that. But I just
Now,
feel like
one thing I give Kev don't ever attack Tank personally. He says, I give Kev this. He always be like, shit, I respect what Tank do personally. He said it's true for all these young followers, boxers, they
let
like
me
to market
let
themselves
me
like
let,
Tank.
let me tell you something. I'm gonna be generous when I say this. I'm probably 3 times Tank size, and I wouldn't say and I say that to say I wouldn't disrespect him to his face
Right.
because he a dangerous motherfucker. So and if we fought, my best chance is grabbing him, and that might not be enough. So I'm gonna be respectful on this internet like I would be in person.
Absolutely.
So I feel like with Tank, man, I just feel like it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And I really think the Lamont Roach fight was his exit plan. But I'm gonna beat Lamont, I'm gonna go fight Jake, and I'm gonna disappear till I need some money again. And I
He's
just
gonna
feel
try
like
to
there's
take
a
the Floyd route, and the Floyd at the end of
yeah,
his career route.
but now with Tank, let's go back to 135. I've watched too many people, like I told you the other day. I watched too many people come and go through 135 while Tank was supposed to be the king of that division, come through, collect straps, undisputed, unify everything else. And Javante just keeps doing nothing and letting these things happen. I watched Devin Haney get undisputed and leave. I watched Teofimo collect belts from Lomachenko and leave. I'm watching Shakur collect belts and eventually grow out of the division. He's going to leave. That's going to be 3 fighters that I wanted to see Tank fight that he showed no interest in fighting. None. Showed no
I
interest
don't
in these
think
guys.
Shakur is gonna outgrow because I've seen
Hold
Shakur
on.
in person. He's really not that big of a guy. The
He ain't gonna
biggest
he
I
ain't gonna be
see
there.
Shakur
He ain't
going
gonna
is
be there much
140.
longer.
I'm seeing a
What's that?
pattern that I've seen before. Okay. You mentioned a few fighters. You mentioned Shakur. You mentioned Devin. You mentioned Lomachenko. Those fighters have something in common. And it reminds me of something that happened decades ago when there were fighters like Antonio Margarito, Miguel Cotto, Emmanuel Dapijan Pacquiao. They all fought under one specific promotional company. Okay?
I know where you going. I knew where you was going when you
And,
brought it up.
and I see a pattern here. And it's almost the same pattern that I saw back in the day when they were talking about Cotto, when they were talking about Margarito, when they were talking about Manny Pacquiao. And one certain fighter they claimed to be reluctant to fight those guys. And that was Floyd Mayweather Jr. Eventually, Floyd ended up fighting Cotto and Pacquiao. Now, I'm kind of seeing the same pattern here because go to last year, there was one particular fighter that was in the crosshairs that was going to be an opponent for Gervonta Tank Davis. And that person's name was Vasyl Lomachenko. That fight was being brought up by both parties over by, as they say, PBC, but it's Heyman Boxing and all that, and also at Top Rank. But then all of a sudden, there was word from Vasyl Lomachenko saying, you know what, I'm injured. I can't necessarily, I'm not ready, and all that stuff. Okay, cool. So then you move on and you say, okay, let's see what's up with Shakur Stevenson. Was Shakur Stevenson there with Top Rank also? Yes, he was. Only thing is, here goes something. He has the fight over in Newark with Hartunian. That is his last fight under the Top Rank deal. He could have renegotiated and re-upped with Top Rank, and he chose not to. He could have had a fight there with Tank Davis, and he chose not to at that time. So my thing is that at this point, they're trying to make those fights. But here was the thing that ended, and that's why it ended up being like a Lamont Roach Jr. as an opponent because of those fighters not being available or saying that it's not the case.
I don't mean to cut you off real quick, JR, but I also remember this. I'm going to bring this since we on Tank, and I know Kev going to eventually bring it up.
I'm over here with a muzzle on right now. I'm ready to rip. Come on, let's go.
I know. I want to bring this up. I'm gonna let y'all two have y'all moment. I want to bring this up to capitalize off what JR saying, right?
Okay.
And another thing, Tank gets a lot of discredit for people always say, oh, he's always constantly bringing a fighter down or bringing a fighter up, right? With the Lamont thing or other things. If I'm not mistaken, JR, you correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't when they couldn't find an opponent, the first opponent was Vasyl Lomachenko. Loma, he's not motivated to make no money no more. I don't know. But didn't he also send a contract out to Raul Venezuela, who was until he got a thorough ass whooping a couple months ago, was the champ at 140? And Ryo said, why would I come down to 140 to fight you and I'm a champ? Why would I come down to 135 to fight you and I'm a champ at 140? I bring that up because a lot of dudes discredit Tank because of people coming down and up. Why them dudes can't do the same thing Ryo did? Why are we still giving people that type of leniency with Tank? That's just something I wanted to say. JR, you can cook because I know for a fact, I know Kev when it comes to boxing, like the back of my hand when it comes to boxing. And that's something he was going to bring up. So I'm going to let you go back, JR.
The thing with Ryo was he was in a little bit of a legal dispute. So that is partially why he couldn't be that guy to face Tank Davis at the time. Because he was like a little bit of back and forth. But here was the other thing with Tank that people got to consider. He has this deal with Amazon Prime.
Thank you. That's another thing I keep trying to bring up to people.
A multi-fight deal with Amazon Prime. And I'm going to bring this person up again. Floyd Mayweather Jr., right? When he had his deal with Showtime. Yes, he's Floyd Mayweather Jr., but Showtime, CBS, Viacom, they know that one way or another, they needed an end game. They needed something to kind of like get back on their investment. So you would think that they would want to secure that fight with Manny Pacquiao as part of that deal with Showtime. So they're like, yeah, we could give you all this money, but you're going to have this fight one way or another with Manny Pacquiao. Now let's fast forward. Tank Davis. Amazon Prime gives him that deal. They want that fight with either Shakur, Lomachenko, one of those two guys, or at the time, maybe when they started, Devin Haney. Now, if Lomachenko's not available, hey, okay. Shakur at the time is not available. So then what do? You got to go ahead and you fight who's available. Now, the thing with Lamont Roach, you know what? This reminds me of Floyd Mayweather when he fought Marcos Maidana. People thought Maidana was going to be like a cakewalk, but they said, oh, given the first fight, they said, "Oh, Maidana really gave Floyd Mayweather a challenge." So Floyd Mayweather was like, "Okay, cool. I'll go ahead and fight him again." So he basically made some bonus money off that. Now, I'm not saying that Tank is going to make some bonus money here with Lamont Rose Jr. because styles make fights, and I see that. But with Tank, he's in the deal with Amazon Prime. He's going to have a few more fights, but Amazon Prime is going to be like, okay, we need to see some returns on our investment. So you're going to end up seeing Tank fight either Shakur, and it won't be Lomachenko, but it'll be possibly somebody else that's on the rise in Keyshawn Davis. Now, you could go ahead and rebut if you like. Because I like you're on mute.
No, I'm not on mute. No, I'm not on mute. I'm letting you cook, bro.
Oh, hold up, my bad. I was on mute. I'm happy you said this because when I say all this, I get called Tank's lawyer, Tank's bodyguard, Tank's big brother. I get called everything. So now I'm happy someone else says this
because you got an office over there. You got an office over there at Upton. But yo, I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna just say something quick, and that's my thoughts real fast. First, I want to give boy.
Go ahead and cook, Kev. We talking sports,
I want to give JR his flowers because the boy is clearly an encyclopedia of like knowledge and history of this stuff. Because I don't remember half the stuff he's saying. That's why I would even push back on it because that's actually impressive that you remember all this stuff the way you do. But now outside of that, with Gervonta and Lomachenko, this is my problem with Gervonta, right? And I'll say this, and this is what I mean by when I say these guys kind of came through his division and kind of did the things that we've been waiting for him to do. I remember when Teofimo fought Lomachenko, he got Lomachenko in his 15th fight, that was his 14th fight, 15th fight at 22 years old. He was 22 when he fought Loma. And Devin Haney, I think, was 24 when he fought Loma. When Tank was 22, they didn't let Tank get anywhere near Loma. And Tank didn't seem to have much of a problem with it. So I just feel like when I see these things, I understand the side of the street. This guy's with this promotion that got him back. But when it's convenient for the PBC will do business with Top Rank. When they wanted to make the Wilder and Tyson Fury fight.
Kev, you breaking up a little bit. You in a good spot?
Yeah, lean back. So let me see something. If you lean back, every time I know you lean forward, I get that staticky stuff. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Click out and click back in. So because I was hearing you saying some good stuff, but I want to make sure you clear.
I'm gonna say the last time I had to restart my phone to get good service.
Yeah, it's your mic, and you see Abdul in here. I know what Abdul doing. He trying to take notes and shit. Because I've been cooking him, right? But I give Abdul his props for this dude. He been coming back with some good stuff. Because you know the dude, the boy in the One in Sports group, we all in, Eric Maggette, that be going hard as hell for LeBron. That's Abdul for Floyd Mayweather. So you know he in on this Tank shit, trying to hear everything.
Yeah, we could barely hear him on this.
Yeah, I want you to go click out the link and click back in, Kev, so that way we can hear you clear.
Let me try something real fast. I'm gonna see if I can get on my MacBook.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's what I be using my MacBook.
Yeah, yes, I do.
We need to connect. Yeah, connect your mic so that way I can add you in on from your Mac.
Yeah, because I want him to reiterate that point.
Yeah, because he was making some good points. Then he just
I want him to reiterate it though.
So go ahead. Okay.
Yo, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, now you good.
All right, yeah, I'm on my Mac now. Yeah, I'm at work and I kind of work in the sticks. I'll tell you later on where I work, Smitty. You're gonna laugh.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm in the sticks right now. I'll say that. Yeah, I was just saying when I watched I remember the conversation. I'll never forget when they asked Floyd about a fight with Loma and Tank. Oh, well, he's old, we're young. We ain't worried about him right now. He needs us more than we need him. We gonna take our time. That was a red flag to me. Because this is a prize fight. And if you tell us this is the best fighter in the sport, what we doing here? You know what I mean? So I watched Teofimo pop up on the scene. He was new to the scene. 14th, 15th fight. Let me get Loma. I want that. I need that. And he did it. Devin Haney popped up at 24. And I'm not saying he popped up, but you get what I'm saying. He was 24 years old and took that challenge on. And a lot of people will say that Devin lost. I don't think Devin lost. I thought it was a draw. I had
that's
Devin
one fight though. I had Loma, but if people tell me they had Devin, I'm not mad and won't argue. And I personally told a lot of people, I said, That Devin should have one draw on his
I
record.
had
Like, damn,
I had
and that
Devin.
could have been that
I
fight.
picked Smitty. I picked Dev to win that fight. I wanted Dev to win that fight. And I had Devin down 6-5 going into the 12th. So I'm not one of them fans where if I like a guy, I'm going to give him swing rounds. No, I give you what you deserved. And I thought that Devin won the early rounds. Loma jumped on him and caught him, and Loma took the lead 6-5 going to the 12th. I said, Devin's got to get this 12th round to salvage a draw. That's the best Devin can do. But I was okay with 7-5. I wasn't okay with 8-4. I thought it was 7-5 either way or 6-6. 6-6 is what I had. I didn't think Devin won 116, 112.
Hell no. When I seen that, I was like, what the?
But to my point, Devin went after Loma. Tank never went after Loma, but now Loma's 36 years old. He's got a foot out the door. Now they stepping on the gas and they want the Loma fight so bad. I think they want Loma vulnerable. I think they want him at 36 years old, heart halfway into the sport. His country's at war. He's worried about his family. Oh, let's get him now. He ripe for the picking. I don't respect it. I think it's BS now, because when he was 30, 31 years old, you wanted no parts of him. You never said his name. Now all of a sudden he's 36 with all these personal issues going on and his full speed ahead. Respectfully, go to hell. Like, I don't want Loma to fight him. I don't want that fight to happen. I think there are other guys to fight for him. There's the Keishawns, there's the Shakors, there's the Teofimos, all these guys. If Tank can't go to 140, I don't even really want to hear about Tank no more, bro, because I feel like it's not implausible to ask him to go to 140. Manny Pacquiao's for 5'5" and went to 154. And Tank don't got no. I mean, he's not a big guy, but it ain't like he's
not
going
big
like
at all, bro. Yeah, that's
I don't want to say the guy's name. It's a YouTuber I don't like though, but he implied that
if you talking about the guy I think you said before you don't like shit, JR don't like
the bald head boy.
Nah, that's not
old bald head.
I thought you was talking about
the old bald headed sucker. So he's Fanon, man. I heard Fanon say one day.
I like Fanon. He all right, man.
Fanon said y'all only want Tank to go to 140 because y'all want to see him get hurt and potentially die. I said, so all these niggas who passed through 135 and went to 140, they couldn't beat him in 135, but suddenly they'll kill him at 140? You kidding me right now? It's 5 pounds. And I know 5 pounds in boxing is a big thing, but we ain't talking. Come on, man. Tank power, and y'all telling me he was knocking out middleweights and heavyweights, but he can't go to 140? It's a farce to me, bro. And it blows my mind that somebody so talented is not being thrown into the fire while these other kids have pushed themselves into it. I struggle with it. I struggle to believe that he wants the best fights. I don't doubt the talent. I'm not saying that.
I'm not sure.
Go ahead, JR.
I'm not sure how to like structure this, because Kev said a lot on this. So it goes back to like my previous statement when I said that there was a pattern. Okay, when you bring up once again Devin Haney, when you bring up Shakur Stevenson, and you bring up all those guys, all of them were in the same company. Just like back in the day, they were all under the same company, under Top Rank. And even with Mayweather, at one time, Mayweather was with Top Rank. And guess what? He wanted to smoke with Oscar De La Hoya and Shane Mosley when all of them were under Top Rank. Guess what? Bob Arum wouldn't let him do that. So it took a long time for those fights with Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya to come to fruition. Okay. Now, with Devin Haney moves the way that he moves because he had Bill with him. So the thing about it was Devin Haney didn't have that fight with Vasyl Lomachenko until he had those 2 fights with George Kambosos Jr. Okay. So, and that one was more about Vasyl Lomachenko having a chance to become undisputed champion. So on that side, it was more about Top Ranking them doing what they wanted, doing what they had to do in order for Vasyl Lomachenko to get that opportunity. So that's what I say on that front. Now, the thing about Tank going after Loma at that particular period is something when you had people within Top Rank that wanted a fight with Lomachenko and didn't get that chance. And that is part of the reason why they left Top Rank in Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson had been calling for that Loma fight himself, and they were both in house, and he didn't get that chance. So
Loma was their prize joy, if you remember.
and
Kev,
right.
that was their
Now,
pride and joy, and they was not ruining that until they
right.
felt they got all the money they could.
Now the thing with Tank and Lomachenko is that is them doing, as you mentioned, a Wilder and Fury type of instance, where they know that a fight like that makes enough money for both parties that it's big enough. Try to go for that fight. Wilder and Fury was like that. Outside of that, you rarely seen those type of cross promotional fights, especially at the top of the division, because they didn't feel like they would be able to make that money. Now, on a lower scale, you see it, but at the highest scale, you don't see it. Only rarely that you do. I'll give you an example. Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter, right? That's an example. Why? Because they felt like at the time they could make enough money, or they felt like they could make enough money for that. But outside of that, you rarely see that happen in boxing. You really see that happen at all, especially at the top level. So with this thing with Tank Davis, given that he had built himself to be that top guy when it came to, marketability, draw, pay-per-view numbers, that type of stuff, and Loma still having the name that he had, then yeah, at that time, it makes sense for them to make that fight. Beforehand, no. It didn't make sense then, because both companies felt like it wasn't the right time for them to make that fight happen. Like and here's one thing that a lot of fight fans don't understand is that in many cases, all of these promotional companies have dinner with each other, as they say, just like they say in politics, right? Two wings of the same bird. Here, they all be having conversations, but they know at the end of the day, it's all about making money. And if they feel like a fight that's being brought up isn't making money, then they ain't gonna do it. They've been doing this for decades.
That's why I think, Kev, honestly, and I'm telling you just from certain people I've talked to, that's why, like, remember that video I posted and it was flowing, everybody recorded when they had they John at the Howard University, and Tank was like, Shakur not worth that. He not worth that at all. He need to start the G League. It wasn't Tank trying to troll Shakur. It's because Tank basically giving out what they saying behind closed doors without just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
man, they saying behind closed doors.
But what did Hector Luis Garcia ever generate? What did Rolly Romero generate? What did Lamont Roach generate? So when you say Shakur don't sell, you're fighting guys who've never sold.
Again,
they all generate the same promotion company.
They're under the same promotional company.
Lamont Roach was Lamont Roach PBC?
No, he's Pro Box. No disrespect to Pro Box, because they got some good fighters. But Pro Box is like, if we talking about the food chain, and like I said, this is not to be disrespectful. Because obviously, like I was trying to tell you, Kevin, a lot of other dudes about Lamont. Lamont is a great fighter. He just was never on a big enough platform to show the world, so people can be finally like, Tank, you went for a dog fight. Pro Box is at the bottom when it comes to top PBC, top ranked Matchroom and Golden Boy.
But they about to mix.
But they coming up though. Don't get it wrong, because unlike all of them, Pro Box is the only one that's not letting politics get in their way.
They about to make some real moves real soon.
Yeah, I'm
here. I just feel like if Tank is the cash cow and all of this stuff that they always say, it's one thing if the fight is it can't be made. It's another if every time the fight comes up, Tank is downplaying it. What has Shakur done? He ain't never done nothing. Then Calvin Ford is, we can't do what we do. What does that mean? We can't do what we do. Oh, he just gonna run.
Listen, man. Let me tell you something about my old
head. Cut the ring off if he gonna run. Go get him.
I'm gonna tell you something about my old head, Uncle Calvin and Kenny. Uncle Calvin and Uncle Kenny, man, you can't take what they say on the internet too serious, because they like.
I have to though, because they do it to Bill Haney. Everything Bill Haney say is taken serious. If he's on your team and he's talking, then he has to be held responsible for the things he says when he's in your corner. You got to get a grip on your team.
Let them talk.
Because when the fighter ain't talking, and somebody on his team is talking, that's all we got to go off.
as I said, at the end of the day, if it doesn't make the money, then the fight ain't gonna be made. I'll take it a
But
step
what
further.
money?
Wait,
What money
hold
can a
on,
fight
hold on,
support?
hold on, Kev, hold on. It's one thing to bring up Tank Davis in reference to this, right? But this happens between other fighters too. I'll give you an example. Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, right? Because for some time, Shakur Stevenson was mentioning Devin Haney's name. Devin Haney was doing what he was doing, right? And then once he had the fight with Vasily Lomachenko and won the undisputed belts, guess who was stepping in the ring looking like, hey, I still got a beeline for you. That's Shakur Stevenson. But yet, no one brings up them two potentially having a fight, them two being at 135, and then not having anything happen. It only seems like it's
You saying who
one
is the names you're talking about right now? Who's the
What
two
is
you're
that
talking
again?
about? Who
What
are
is
the two
that
that you're
again?
talking about right now?
Shakur
Who's the two right now
Stevenson,
that you Corn who?
Shakur Stevenson, and Devin Haney.
Okay. Can I rebut real fast?
Go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
Just
Go
quick.
ahead.
I know he cooking. I don't want to cut him off, but I don't want to lose this point. The problem is that Tank has been pushed on us as the next best thing. You know what I mean? And I know Shakur has high expectations too, but Tank has been around longer than Shakur, and we've been waiting for a very long time for Tank to do the things we've been asking him to do. Devin Haney tried to get Teofimo. He fought Loma. He moved up to 140 and fought Regis for the WBC in his debut at 140. He fought Ryan. Devin is giving the people what they want. Tank ain't really giving the people what they want. I don't think there's a fight we can point to where we like, yo, Tank gave us what we wanted. We got what we wanted out of Tank. And I just wonder if it's ever going to happen. And when I hear the chatter about him, the plan was to fight Jake Paul after Lamont Roach. That kind of confirms everything I've been thinking. He don't want it.
Here's where y'all get that feeling from. It's kind of like their decision to where they converted him to a certain point of his career to go into pay-per-view. As I've seen it happen, pretty much almost like in real time. When Tank Davis had his fight with Yuriorkis Gamboa in Atlanta, State Farm Arena in Atlanta, and they saw, all the people out there, the stars that were showing up, Shaquille O'Neal, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, all that type of stuff, and then see him basically end it with the knockout. They were like saying, you know what? We could try to move ahead and make him a pay-per-view guy. And once they did that, that pretty much like put him in another category. So him having the fights with, Leo Santa Cruz or Isaac Cruz or Rolly Romero, like it really didn't matter who his opponent was because they basically pushed him. And as long as people were showing up because it's an event, it really didn't matter who the opponent was, because it's almost like Canelo in a sense. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. We just want to be there because it's an event. So when you have something like that, it's almost like you don't say, hey, I don't have to necessarily face these guys back to back to back because I'm having people show up anyway. It's almost like, as I said, Canelo, to a certain extent, they say that about Anthony Joshua too, when he had his run, is that he didn't have to fight Deontay Wilder or maybe a Tyson Fury at the time because he was the one that was making the most money in this division, fighting anybody. So it's like, why fight these guys when I could just fight just about anybody for around the same price? So that's what we're having right now with Tank Davis. And Tank, as Smitty said, he's a small guy. Like him going up to 140 or having that 140 limit, listen, there's only one possible fighter out there at 140 that you would see Tank Davis against. Smitty has an idea of who that person is because
Boogeyman. Kev laughed at me, but Kev said he like, I think
it ain't Gary Antoine. It ain't Gary. It ain't Gary. Gary is a big boy knocking at the door at 147. Tank don't want that.
No, but
no, he's not.
The thing though, Kev, Gary can make from 135 to 147. I don't know how he do it, but he can do it.
hey, Spitty, if you've been in the gym out there a few times, you can see how I could try to make 135 because
Yeah, he's because I think it's because of his height, but
nah,
then at the same time, he can also bulk up because he has it's like his family is like
Yeah.
weird. You got him and Gary Jr. They skinny as hell, Kev. But then he got another brother that you can look at them and say, damn, if you lay off a little bit, you can get big like him too.
So for Kev saying what he's saying about Tank, like as a fan of boxing,
yeah. Hey, hold up real quick, Jr.
Yeah.
Yes, Frank, we talking about Gary Antoine. I've been saying it, and I'm gonna keep saying Kev. I think me and him talked about it the other day. I got Gary Antoine as the boogeyman of 140, and I'm saying that because it's funny to me. Tio got video game dreams to fight Boots to get knocked his head loose by Boots, but won't fight him or Real Matias. I hear Africa calling out everybody. I see Africa trolling Bill and Devin, but you could easily go unify with Gary. I'm saying, like we all say, why isn't Tank calling these names out? Why is everybody in 140? Sabril won't even give Gary his rematch. I'm like, damn, you supposed to get that man his rematch.
Pollo.
So look, when we're talking about these call-outs, here you go. Look, when we're talking about these call-outs, right? I'm gonna use Devin Haney and Bill as the example. Bill Haney got on Twitter the other day and gave a list of names. I won't call it a hit list, but I will call it a list of names that they are interested in fighting. Gave 10 names, and everybody jumped on Bill's ass. Oh, y'all better stay away from these people. And I'm like,
I told you about that. I told you about that, but I definitely agree with your point.
This is my thing. It wasn't just you saying that he need to stay away from these people, but I'm a fan of Devin Haney. And there is not a name on that list that I would not want to see Devin fight. The reason
I definitely want to I want to see him fight everybody in the list.
I say that to say I'm a Devin Haney fan, but I'm also fans of fighters on that list. I like Devin Haney, but I'll be honest, I like Devin Haney more for what I see the public try to do to him than any other reason. I think he's a good fighter, but I get tired of the endless kicking and stomping on this kid, and he did nothing wrong. He got cheated. Well, I'm saying in the sense
of laughing at the comments.
I'm saying in the sense of the Osterine and everything else. You know what I'm saying? That's what all that stuff. And Devin was still the villain in all of this. I'm like, how could he be the villain when he's the one who got cheated? He's the one. He agreed to fight Ryan Garcia 3.5 pounds over, and he paid him for it. He didn't agree to fight him on Osterine. So
we know why he's the villain, and it's some BS.
Because he got a dad. Because he has a father. That's why.
No. It's more about
fatherless niggas can't stand him.
It's more about fans like being like really full of it, because they would allow something like that for Ryan Garcia to basically take what he took, and excuse him, but say nothing about like him doing that. And then Devin Haney, all Devin Haney did was just try to be the guy that he was going to be in that particular fight, where he was basically outboxing him. He just made a couple of mistakes. But
I'm gonna make 2 points real quick. I'm gonna respond to Frank Benji's. You can't call Devin soft. He fought against an overweight drug user, and he got up off the canvas every single time and kept fighting and kept trying to win. Soft fighters don't do that. You can't be soft. You don't got to like the lawsuit and all of that, but in that ring, you can't say Devin ain't a dog, because the same thing we praised Errol Spence for when he fought Terrence Crawford is the same thing Devin get laughed at for. Devin never stopped trying. He never looked at his dad and said, Dad. He never said, I don't want to go back out there and fight. Devin fought to the final belt.
Take it a step further. He got up like Deontay Wilder got up.
He ain't. They ain't. Look, these dudes ain't soft.
Fury, right?
He kept getting up.
Yep.
Devin could have laid on that ground and quit. Devin could have laid there and quit.
Like Ryan Garcia quit
against Tank. I'm saying that
like
Devin could have quit.
They saying he looked like the commentator from Family Guy.
So I'm saying Devin could have quit. Errol could have quit. Deontay Wilder could have quit. None of these dudes are soft. They might not have rose to the occasion that night for whatever reason, but they ain't soft. If you keep Devin got brutally beaten by a drug cheat. We gonna call it what it is. It was a brutal beating, and he kept fighting. How could you call him soft? But this is the stuff I'm talking about.
I did my problem with Dev. You Dev talked about it. My problem with Dev was just the lawsuit. I love the fact that
Devin didn't sue. Devin didn't
every
sue.
interview I do is you. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but JR seen it. I always make sure any of the fighters I talk to, athletes period, I talk to, if they dads in their life and sport, I always make sure that's one of the first things I talk about is your daddy. I don't care. I know the masses might not like that down the road, but they just not gonna like me. I'm not the guy for them. Because if your dad in your life, I'm
But
gonna
see,
make sure
bro,
your dad get props. I love that. My
Smitty,
only problem with him was strictly the lawsuit. That's it. I said, no,
Dev
Dev,
didn't,
you was
but
supposed to tell him
Devin didn't,
take the blood test and fight
Devin
again.
didn't, Smitty, Devin didn't sue though. And this is the thing. Devin didn't sue. Devin Haney Promotion sued. The company sued. And the reason why he sued is because after that fight, his reputation was tarnished. His bottom line was affected. You know what I'm saying? His brand was devalued. And it was devalued at the hands of a cheater. So you got to pay for what you did. And I think we need to see more of that. When these dudes is cheating and taking PEDs and embarrassing you in the ring and at your craft and all that, and it's causing you money. No, you got to pay.
Yo,
got to pay for that.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back, y'all.
And it would deter people from doing it.
Nah, absolutely. I think like this, right? My thing with Dev, I felt he should have did. Remember what Floyd claimed he was doing that all that time? But no, I could. Pac, take the blood test. Even though me and you know why that really was. Pacquiao had no reason for you that wanted to take a blood test, but that was your thing. All right, cool. That's me personally. I feel Dev, you lost. It came out a month later that he did that. All right, bet. Hey, yo, we need our rematch after my jaw heals. Everything else that got hurt heals. I need you. You gotta take a blood test.
Yeah,
Fuck
but
all that
if
other
you cheated
taking
me,
a blood test, then we fighting again.
If you cheated me, why do I have to sit on the L? You know what I'm saying? If my daughter, I have two daughters.
I think that's what Frank was trying to say though, bro. He was saying because he just commented. He said, "Yeah, Ryan is a fucking poser bitch. We not disagreeing."
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
He's not giving Ryan a pass on the cheating.
I'm not saying he's giving Ryan a pass, but if you think Devin is soft, let it be for reasons outside of the Ryan Garcia shit. Give me another example of him being soft outside of the Ryan Garcia fiasco.
Jose
we see Devin and Haney, Devin and Bill. Devin and Bill. I keep saying Devin and Haney. Devin and Bill Haney are pushing for a rematch. And now Oscar and them, we don't want that. We don't want nothing to do with that. Why? Because your boy don't got his needle? Because he looks subhuman against the worst fighter in the division? Why don't you want the fight now?
You know what's crazy? You and someone else trolled me and laughed at me when I made that video scratching my face.
Yep.
And I'm at my job, I'm scratching my face. You know, at work, I make my little videos. That's why I look rough when I be on camera.
You said you had Rolly might potentially beat Ryan?
And y'all both told me, as much as I hate Ryan Smitty, Rolly's going, his ass is going out. I said, I'm gonna tell you what my opinion in that was rooted in. My opinion that was rooted in, even though I knew Ryan cheated, my last visual of Ryan was the night that he fought Devin. I saw that frame, I saw that speed, I saw that power. That's the Ryan I last saw and remember. So I pictured that Ryan doing the same thing. Well, that was just the last visual I had of Ryan in my mind. He was like this world beater. Although I knew he cheated, I'm like, I don't expect him to look anything less than that. Right.
But before the Devin fight, he looked nothing like that. And after the Devin fight, he looked nothing like that. Something is going on there. He didn't look like that against Tank. He didn't look like that against Luke Campbell. He didn't look like that against Duarte.
And I'm happy you brought this up, Kev. I'm happy you brought up Tank, right? Because remember, you seen me get in a lot of arguments with Greg and other people, right? And you was one of the main, even though I think you would agree with me, but you made it more fun for yourself to troll me with it. When I would say, man, no, Ryan chose to do that. And remember, people kept saying he was weight drained, and I was like, nah, bro, that's not an excuse. It's not a fucking excuse. That's not a fucking excuse. And when you look at Ryan in his fight against Rolly, what did Ryan? Did he look in better shape for a fight against Tank, or did he look in better shape for a fight against Rolly?
It's hard to say because he looked thinned out against Devin. I'm sorry, he looked thinned out against Tank. He looked swole like a bodybuilder against Devin, and then against Rolly, he looked kind of he looked flabby almost. He didn't look.
And that's solid. The point I'm making. When he fought Rolly, he looked like he just got up, maybe ran a couple days, and then got in the ring to fight.
He looked soft in the body.
Tank, he looked like he was trimmed up. Yeah, he was a little skinny, but he looked like he was actually like, hold up, man, this man actually in good shape to fight. Like he trimmed up. Against Devin, he looked like he's in good shape, but he looked blown up and everything.
Nah, but he
looked Rolly, he didn't look like he had no tone to his body, period. And that's why I brought this up, because I'm like, I asked you that because I wanted to know, Well, we gonna stop giving these dudes these rehydration clause excuses. Chris Eubanks and Conor Ben fought at that rehydration clause. Chris Eubanks damn near killed himself. Remember, they thought they was going to take him to the hospital and put IV in, and he still beat Conor Ben.
Yeah.
The thing with Ryan and Tank was Ryan agreed to those terms.
Right.
He wanted to have that fight. Those terms were put in front of him. It was up to him if he wanted to accept it or not. He accepted it. He went through with it. It is what it is.
Hey, JR, before you start cooking, let me answer one of the comments from one of my main supporters. I told y'all he's a garbage can. RG, Ryan Garcia, is one of the most overrated boxers I could remember. I have to call Cap. To me, and I know JR got ties with this guy I'm about to say. If he feels a way this clip comes up, my DM's always open. I love to address the elephant in the room with you on Smitty's Jungle. What I'm saying is the most overrated boxer to me in my lifetime is Deontay Wilder. Now I'll let you cook though, JR.
I'm gonna come back to this and protect Deontay. Go ahead.
I'm gonna let you because I got to try it. I think you kind of know why I feel he's overrated.
Smitty has said this, but the thing with Wilder was he could have developed more as a fighter, but he got a little bit too reliant on the right hand. But
then when we got somebody that was on the that whether you call him the GOAT or not the GOAT, he's on the Mount Rushmore of boxing that wanted to help him and said, "Hey, let me come in and work with you. I've seen you fight multiple times. I can get your feet work right. I can get your footwork." Floyd Mayweather, who I don't consider as the GOAT, but I got him on my Mount Rushmore. He wanted to work with him. He was so cocky because he kept fighting bums and knocking him out. Well, I apologize for my language. I don't mean to call no boxer a bum. He kept fighting people that weren't at his level. He was knocking them dudes out. He got so cocky that he didn't want to take Floyd's help.
Yeah, and the thing is, those fights against lower tier fighters are supposed to be there to build your whole skill set up.
He didn't do none of that for him. He kept knocking dudes out.
And you have a guy that was at his weight class a similar type of fighter that you are, and Mark Breland. And Breland was there to kind of like show you how to set up your shots, how to mix things up and do that. And when we saw him in his first fight against Bermane Stiverne, that was the Deontay Wilder that people thought would be the guy that could carry the heavyweight division from that point forward. But when he started to have those fights where he got reliant on the right hand, he kind of lost that development as a fighter. So once he did face a guy like, Luis Ortiz the first time, or I would say not even like Arreola, because Arreola was just there, but you kind of seen like those patterns be lost from Deontay Wilder. So once he did fight Tyson Fury the first time, and Stiverne was like 80 years old. Once he fought Fury the first time, all that confidence that he had pretty much got taken away a little bit early in that fight. And then you saw him kind of like adjust a little bit because he had Mark Breland in the corner, and Mark Breland was saying like, yo, Tyson Fury is ducking down every time you throw the jab. So if you try to either throw the jab and then throw an uppercut, you're going to meet him right when he ducks down. And so that's how he was able to score that first knockdown, was because he saw that tendency of Fury ducking down, and then he caught him right around that, the temple and knocked him down. And then the other one where he got the combination, right? I think that had him way too confident because he thought that he really finished Tyson Fury at that point. And then once he saw Fury get up, that kind of like took everything away from him, because from that point, you still had about, another minute plus for that 12th round. And it wasn't that he didn't finish him, but Fury came back on him. And then once that happened, that was basically it. Like that level of invincibility that Deontay Wilder had at that point kind of like started to disappear. And then you have those two fights that he had with what is it, Dominic Brazil, and then Luis Ortiz again, right? Those two guys ain't gonna really build you up or get you prepared for someone like a Tyson Fury. So you have those two fights, and it's like, okay, cool. And then you fight Tyson Fury again, and then Fury just overwhelms you by doing the style that he did at the last part of the first fight.
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
gonna let Kev go because Kev said he want to protect Wilder from
So
before you go, Kev, Fury was gonna I knew Fury was gonna beat Wilder. I'll give Wilder the benefit of a doubt this one. The first fight, I feel they should have gave that to Wilder, but I wasn't mad at the draw, but I feel he should have won it. The
I
last
thought Wilder lost. I thought he lost the first fight.
Oh, see, well, then that's different.
Even with the
means
knockdowns, I think he got outscored.
I knew the next two he was getting his ass whooped because I said Fury just exposed this man to what I've been saying. He
figured
can't
him out.
fight. He's a guy if you know you about to get into a bar fight, you take with him. He's not a guy that you sit in there and say, all right, man, you got 12 rounds to fight.
So I'll give Wilder a little more than that. And this is what I say. I'm not a big Wilder fan. I thought he was overrated for sure, but I can also say he was overrated, but I can also give him his flowers in certain aspects. We all know he picked up the sport at a young age. Well, late age rather, not a young age. He was late in his teens when he picked up boxing. He picked up boxing at what, 19?
Yeah.
And what, 2 years later?
Maybe I think he picked up the same age Rolly did, like 17 and 19.
Yeah, whatever it was, to pick up boxing today, and heavyweight is the hardest division to be successful in. We all know why. There's no weight limit, you know. So there is a weight limit, but there's really not. You know what I mean? Like, you could fight a guy 30 pounds, 40 pounds heavier than you, and it's nothing. That's the only time you don't hear about somebody being weight bullied is in the heavyweight division. Devin Haney coming in at 160 and it's breaking news. It's the worst thing ever. Deontay Wilder was 215 pounds fighting dudes that was 265 and standing on business. So I got to give him credit in that aspect because them dudes fought their whole lives. Deontay picked up the sport at 19, was a bronze medalist by what, 21 years old ish, roughly 21, 22 years old. And I don't think when he picked up boxing, he thought that it would lead him to where it led him in life. I thought he was really just trying to pay some bills and make sure his daughter was straight. I've never considered him a boxer. I've always considered him an athlete who can fight. You know what I mean? Like, he's an athlete to me. Like, when you look at Deontay, exactly he is the prototypical. The dude was like chiseled from stone, but he never got his skills refined, the stuff that you fix at a young age, because he picked it up so late. So his footwork lacked. Bro, I have better footwork than Deontay Wilder. I trained him. I did a little dip and dab. Deontay has horrible feet, but he maximized
tried to help
what he had.
And one of the four greatest boxers of all time.
Well, Deontay's arrogant. We know that. He's arrogant. He's cocky. You can't tell. Some guys you just can't tell nothing. Deontay's one of the guys you can't talk to. You gotta let him fall. You gotta let him do his thing and see what happens. But he maximized whatever gifts that were given to him, and he made the most of it. You know what I mean? He came from nothing at 19 years old. He got a statue built in his hometown. I can't really say he's not good or he's a bum or anything like that. I just give him credit for the things he was able to accomplish at something he picked up as a hobby and turned into something to stabilize his family for the rest of forever. I can't be mad at him for that. So, I respect what he did. Even though it wasn't pretty, I respect it.
Now, I respect it. This is my thing, right? And I don't want nobody that watch this or anybody that comment, right, that says, oh, anybody that, to me, if you step foot in that freaking ring and put on 8 to 10 ounce gloves and you fight and you willing to catch concussions, CTE, brain damage, liver bleeding, you willing to wait after the fight, go home to your woman and pissing blood, you waking up in the middle of the night because you can't lay down, I'm going to always give you respect. Just like I'll give 2 men that can't seem to talk their problems out and they choose to go in the alley or the back block or behind their house, wherever, and fight, and rather than pick up a gun and somebody else's mom or kids got to cry, I respect them. If you choose to get in that ring, and to me, you a lifetime warrior. So I'm not saying that Deontay is soft. I'm not saying that he's a bum. I'm not saying none of that. I'm saying that me, just as a boxer, he was the most overrated boxer I can't. He was just overrated to me because and then what made me feel that way strongly is, like I said, with the Floyd situation. When Floyd wanted to come in and help this man get better, like you said, he was arrogant. He was getting money. He came from working as a CDL driver, delivering coke and a Coca-Cola products, and he turned it into being a multi-millionaire thanks to Al Heyman. Shout out Uncle Al. I know
Oh
you wanted
God,
to do that.
the
Kev.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, the Wizard of Oz. But so he got a little cocky and he needed to be humble. That's all. I mean, I agree with that 100%. But just if we talking strictly boxing, to me he was overrated. That's it. But I don't want nobody to think I'm disrespecting him, calling him a bum. No, I got the utmost respect because you got in that ring with them 10-ounce gloves and fought. I feel like some of them fights he took at the end he shouldn't have took. But you know when you need some money, I mean, you know you can
I'll
all
say,
you know, yeah.
And he's still fighting.
but think about this though. Think about all the heavyweights that are around, right? We got Fury, AJ, and Usyk. We'll use those three. Outside of those three right now, what active heavyweights are active in the last 5-6 years wouldn't trade their careers for Wilder's in a heartbeat?
Martin Bacoli probably would. Zane
All,
probably
all of them,
would, even though
all of
Zane
them,
beat
because
Wilder.
well, he beat Wilder when Wilder was a shell of himself. I'm not saying he wouldn't have beat him at any stage in his career. We'll never know. But at that stage, it was all
during their era.
Wilder was.
Like a
Jared
just saying,
Anderson now.
like a
Big
Alexander
baby.
Povetkin, you know, like a
I'm just saying,
Carlos
when we
Takam.
look at the money he made, the places that boxing took him,
Joe Joyce, as Frank said.
the events he headlined, you know what I mean? Like the things, the mansion he was able to buy, the Rolls Royces, the Bentleys, the I'm not trying to put a stamp on material things. I'm just saying boxing afforded him a lifestyle that he didn't dream of 20 years ago. He didn't think he would go this far with it.
Nah, damn sure, you damn sure right about that.
And I gotta give him credit because he maximized his gifts. Whatever he didn't do. That's his fault. But I'm not focusing on what he didn't do. I'm focusing on what he did do. I think he did more.
Now, what he did do is one, like you said, he made a lot of. He went from being a CDL truck driver to being one of the richest motherfucking boxers out.
He did.
He was an overachiever.
With him, he did more than he didn't do. So I'm not looking for him to do any more than he did. He did enough. He did what he had to do to make sure his family was straight. And I'm not a Wilder fan. I don't really care for him like that. I've seen Wilder fight. I went to both Luis Ortiz fights, the one in Brooklyn, the one in Vegas. I was at the one when he knocked Dominic Brazil out. I was at all them shits, man. And I respect what he did. I'm just not a fan of his style.
Yeah, that's why that's more like it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not.
But I'm gonna give him his flowers. I'm not one of them dudes like, well, I don't like a fighter, I'm just gonna stomp on him and just act like he can't do nothing. Like I ain't no Tank fan, you know.
Now,
that.
I know
I ain't
you
gonna say talk crazy about him.
Now you like to troll me. Our main man, Knucklehead number 2, he's a Tank hater. He ain't in there. I've been trying to get him in here all night, but I think he's chilling with his young boy, so that's why he ain't in there. He's a knucklehead.
Tank?
Yeah, no, Greg. I think I tried to get him in here, but he's chilling with his young boy, so he's a daggone Tank hater. That man is sending me memes all day about Tank. Yeah, I'd be like, bro, what's this got to do with fighting? He'd be like, because your man's a simp. He can't stand Tank. But since we brought Tank back up, this is all my thing with Tank is, right? And like I told you when we was messaging, and I'm happy we got on now, because when you tried to call me the other night, I was working, I was cleaning up. I was like, man, I got to get the fuck out of here. If a Kev's still up later, I'll talk to him later. But I'm trying to get out of here.
I'm at work till 8 o'clock in the morning, bro. I got all night.
Yeah, I know. Me that night, I was about to get off. You know, when you about to get off, you like, let me get up out of here.
Yeah, no
What's
doubt.
it called? So my thing, I got you, Frank. I might be doing this again Monday. I got an interview with Greg Hackett tomorrow, y'all. I was gonna wait to the end, but I got an interview with Greg Hackett tomorrow.
Well, I got a bone to pick with Abdul Muhammad too, man. Man, get that bullshit ass WNBA list. How you got a top 15 without Caitlyn, nigga? Get out of here.
He know what he doing.
I said, what the hell?
Frank, you can definitely get in. You can definitely get in on this. I'm about to go live again Monday, Frank. So I'll send you the link. But now the thing about Tank is, do I want to see Tank fight these fights? Yeah, me and JR, we both know that we ain't just. I think when the way JR explained it and me finally getting explained it without having to text it, you understand what we're saying is. We understand the business side of what's going on. I do, like me and JR basically just gave you something that we think is going to happen within the next year. He's going to be fighting some of the fights. And this is my thing, like I tell my kids this all the time. I can respect you more losing trying than I can you quitting or not trying, period. I'd rather have to pick you up from crying because you lost than have to yell at you for not even trying. So I definitely agree with you on that point, Kev. That
This
point you made the other night was beautiful.
my thing when it comes to Tank, man, I just feel like I'm tired of being told what he's gonna do. Just do it already. God damn. It's like if you tell your girl, baby, I'm gonna stop cheating one day. I'm gonna stop cheating. I ain't gonna cheat no more. And you keep cheating. I need to see something different, man. I gotta see something else. I just don't see it with Tank. And I'm more frustrated. I'm more frustrated because it's there. And this going to get on your nerves a little. I'm gonna say it anyway. Remember when Calvin was saying, I need somebody to push that button? Somebody got to push that button in Tank. Lamont pushed them buttons all night. And I ain't seen nothing in Tank that told he was going to show some different. Lamont pushed them buttons all night. Tank doing Lamont push them buttons, near the corner to get his forehead wiped.
Let me capitalize on that. I'm happy you brought that forehead wipe because Abdul in here. It's my main man. It's one of my favorite supporters of Abdul.
He did not wipe his eyes.
No, he didn't. He didn't wipe his eye, but at the end of the day, that was a hell of a fight, and the draw was acceptable to me. But anyways,
no, that draw was not acceptable. Lamont Roach was robbed that night, bro. He was robbed. They did the replay didn't work. The replay.
Let me speak on this.
The replay
didn't work. I watched that fight 10 times already, bro.
Smitty, the replay didn't work in the night run. The replay system was broken.
I'm gonna say this on that, right?
I see you looking down laughing.
Let me speak because I think you know what I'm about to say. If they was gonna disqualify Tank, they should have disqualified Floyd against Zab Zuda. Right or wrong?
Disqualify who?
Floyd Mayweather against Zab Zuda when Roger Mayweather decided to jump in the ring because Zab was getting frustrated because he was getting his ass whooped and he low blowed.
I don't expect them to disqualify him. You know what I mean? But 2 points should have been taken that night. He at least should have had some points taken. He should have had a point taken for the knee, and that should have point taken for running to his corner. And no point in a fight can you turn your back on your opponent and run to the corner for help. Muhammad Ali fought Sonny Liston back in 1960, whatever, and Sonny Liston's corner, Sonny Liston's corner rubbed spearmint oil on his gloves. So when he was hitting Ali in the face, the spearmint oil was burning. The oil was burning Ali's eyes. Ali was screaming to his corner, my fucking eyes are burning. I can't fucking see. His coach said, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. You got to keep fighting. Ali fought that nigga with his eyes closed to the end of the round. And he went to the corner and got his face wiped. Gervonta Davis, I got grease in my eye. Nigga, that's a you problem. That's your problem.
But then, but this is what I'm going to tell you. And I got some good source trainers. I think the one trainer I'm about to give that gave me this, I'm not going to give his name out, but JR knows who he's talking about. He's one of my favorite guys, right? He said that's when it came in that senior and junior, Lamont, that is, should have knew the rules where, hold up, the ref's not counting, Tank turned his back. I'm going to sucker punch the shit out of Tank. Because even though as men will say that's a sucker punch, but in boxing it's not. Because if the ref's not counting and you turned your back on me, I'll hit you in the ring. What's the first rule? When you get taught how to fight, or you teaching your kids how to fight, what's the first rule that you're supposed to always tell them?
Well, you don't turn your back on them?
No, keep your hands up at all times.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, protect yourself.
Keep your hands up at all times. Once Lamont seen the ref even though Lamont was probably, albeit it's in the heat of the moment, you like, oh, him and the ref was both looking at each other like, what the fuck is going on? I'm still looking at it like, hold up, you not counting? He ain't got his guard up. I'm punching him. If he dropped, so what? He dropped. Count it. Now you know to count him because I hit him and he dropped. That's just on that point.
You might not like
the point with the Lamont thing. Oh, go ahead, Kev. I'll let you rebuttal that before
I've been talking for a minute. Let JR go. I've been talking for a minute. Let bro go.
Steve Willis should not have been the referee for that particular fight. It should have been either Thomas Taylor at the time or Harvey Dock, because Steve Willis is pretty much on the back. He's washed. He's washed. And I seen him a couple weeks earlier in New York City in a fight between Vito Mielnicki and Conor Coyle, where there was like a whole bunch of holding, whole bunch of wrestling and all that type of stuff. And he didn't really give like either fighter any warnings or nothing like that, right? And that fight ended up being like a draw. I go to him after the fight and I try to get like more into like why he didn't do like any type of, like reprimand or what he even thought of the fight, and he kind of like went at it like he didn't really care that much. And when I heard that, I'm like, well, why are you acting like that? And for me, when a referee kind of like has that type of attitude, he's basically in the back end of his career. I mean, folks like thought Steve Willis was the referee, like he was the guy that's like having all those expressions, facial expressions, like ooh, ah, ooh, you know, when someone lands a punch. And all that
He's a meme. He's a viral moment.
Yeah, but now he's kind of like in that back half, because I remember him being a referee for Sean Porter versus Danny Garcia at the Barclays, and that was damn, I don't forget what fucking year that was. But it kind of like shows like how many fights that these referees have been in, and like once they get to a point where they are not like necessarily aware of what's going on, then they shouldn't really be involved in big fights like that. And so when you see that moment with Tank Davis, where, just to be honest with y'all, that should have been similar to when Errol Spence Jr. fought Kell Brook, and Kell Brook was getting tagged in the eye a good amount of times, and he voluntarily took the knee. That's what should have happened right there. That should have been counted as a knockdown. It should have been counted as a knockdown. And for, Coach Calvin to, go up there, to wipe off Tank, that was a whole nother thing too. Just being honest, because there was no time really called. No one really called time. There was no count. Nobody called time. So what happened? And thing about it is, New York State Athletic Commission is kind of, so they couldn't really explain it. The whole thing with the replay, they had an explanation for all of that, and I forgot about it. I know it hasn't been that long, as far
as
about
it, because we all understand the politics. All three of us understand the politics. But and then two, it was all we just like, man, just go ahead and get the rematch.
Now let's just go ahead and have this rematch, make it happen. And then we see what's going to be going down, with both fighters. I think
I ain't even asked this, and I haven't heard nobody ask this. You think we get a trilogy out of this?
No.
What about you, Kev?
The only way that we get a trilogy out of this is if Lamont Roach Jr. wins outright.
You think it'll be like a Roy Jones Antonio Tarver situation? Without Roy Jones won the first time.
That's a good one to bring up, because both Roy Jones and Tarver had a history before being in the pros. And you see what happened in the first fight between Jones and Tarver. And that was one where Jones had to really, dig deep to pull out the win. And then the second one, you all know about it. You got any excuses tonight, Roy? And you know what happened. But here in this rematch, I think that a lot of people are really anticipating to see what Tank does here in this rematch, if he's made adjustments or what, Lamont Roach Jr. has, done. Because I feel like Lamont Roach is someone that is kind of like that Antonio Tarver or that Vernon Forrest that always basically had, Tank's number. Even in the amateurs when Tank, got the wins, it was still a close fight.
Absolutely. It was. That's why I was gonna piggyback. I was letting you, JR, cook, because me and Kev had been talking. This is what I was saying about the Lamont thing. This is what it was just always so much to type. And I know now that Lamont did what I said, you and Abdul and the other knucklehead that still won't just admit he was wrong, which he's wrong 75% of the time. You both though at least said it, right? What I tried to tell y'all about Lamont and Tank is they don't just have a history of competing with each other. They have a history of training with each other. Lamont Roach Sr., because when I went to the media day at the No Excuse Gym, Lamont Roach Sr. has pictures, like not a picture, but pictures of Tank and him. He coached Tank to win a Nationals before. He coached Tank. He's helped Tank get prepared for some of his professional fights. Like Tank then went to No Excuses and trained with Lamont Sr. and had him help him game plan. Him and Coach Calvin and Kenny that sat there and all that. So it was like that's part of the reason I said this is a bad fight for Tank, because he's fighting someone that knows him personally. Like this not just know you personally. Oh, what's up, bro? Like how Cool Boy and Boots and all them be in the gym with each other. No, this ain't one of those. This is a guy that y'all know each other personally in and outside the ring, trained together. Y'all worked out, helped each other get ready for multiple fights. One of the other trainers helped you win a nationals before, so they know your personality. They just like Calvin and Kenny know what make him tick. They know what makes you tick, and they know where you lack at in confidence or anything possible. That's why I said, "Oh, this might be a bad fight for Tank. He could
And
possibly
Tank
lose."
knew that.
And Tank knew that.
You knew
And
that.
Tank kept trying to tell people that everybody was like, I'm tired of Tank. I'm getting tired of this shit. He keep giving these B and C level pointers all these props like we supposed to keep leaving. And I'm like, no, he's not giving this man props. He's telling y'all he's a real good fighter that should be getting mentioned. He's just not with one of the big promoting companies that get mentioned, the Golden Boys, the Maxims, the Top Ranks, the PBCs. He's not with them. So you don't see him. The only time y'all remember seeing him was when he fought Jamel Herring. And Jamel Herring happened to fight the best fight of his fucking career when he fought him up. That's what it was. But Tank was trying to tell him, no, this dude could crack. Like, he can hit and he can actually fight. Coach Barry Hunter, man, I just did an interview with Scooter Davis that should be coming out sometime next week. I ain't picked the day on the drop, though. But he even said it before me and Scooter interviewed. And I was asking, I said, Coach, how you been feeling, man? Everything. Man, he's like, man, I told everybody, this is the most skilled opponent Gervonta Davis has ever fought, even more than Loma when Loma was in his prime and fought them top guys. This is the most skilled opponent. This ain't no cheap date. Everybody just kept pushing that. Oh, here they go again. GTD Promotions selling the fight. Oh, here go Smitty again. Giving his favorite 135 or all this props. I'm like, no, bro. This guy right here could lose tonight. I said, I got
so what was that last comment there?
Matter of fact, Kevin, I know Abdul, he probably still watching this. I kept saying, I said, if it's a knockout, it's going to happen in the 12th round, sort of like when Terrence Crawford did to Jose Benavidez Jr. I said, if it's a knockout, it's going to be like that. But I don't see a knockout happening. I said, now, when I watched the fight live, and then I went back and watched it, I said, no, there were some times Tank could have knocked him out. But I think Tank got past him because he didn't want to get caught with nothing because he know Lamont get hit for one. And two, I also think that Tank started seeing that, damn, Lamont got a hell of a chin like he's always had. He's eating some of my punches. But it really wasn't even to me personally that Lamont had a chin. It's Lamont done felt Tank's power before. So he's like, I know what to expect from this man. So, of course, Lamont at the press conference said he don't really hit that hard. Lamont just talking shit because he like, shit, I did what I told y'all I was going to do. But if you ask Lamont, Lamont will personally tell you, shit, any of y'all acting like that motherfucker hit y'all going to see that man got some crack. Y'all better chill out. He going to hit.
It's like you said there at the post-fight press conference when I asked him about it. And he said, like, I know what, Tank does in order to, knock out, the guys that he knocked out. But he said, you know what? I ain't going to tell y'all because y'all going to tell him. But he knows those mannerisms because he's been in there with him. He's been in there with him for years. So to have that level of familiarity, it's like we bring up those examples, those Roy and Tarvers, those Mosley and Force, you know what I'm saying? Like those type of things, you kind of like say, you know what? Those on the outside, they don't expect someone like Lamont Roach to compete with the Tank. But if you've been here in the gyms, if you've been around the DMV area, you know that these guys are been familiar with each other. So you knew it was going to be a good fight. And this rematch is going to be a good fight, too. It's going to be a really good fight.
I think, though, in this rematch, though, Kevin, JR, I'm saying this, right? I'm not saying I think that, like, I interviewed Teray Stevenson, that's the strength and conditioning coach for the Shakur Stevenson crew, and that's Shakur's first cousin. Their grandfather is Shakur, Teray, and Zaquan's they got the same grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Shakur's coach, that's all their grandfathers. But Teray is they strength and conditioning coach. He said he thinks that whoever wins is going to win by knockout. I personally don't see a knockout coming this time, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a body shot from one or the other that sits one or the other down. That's one. And two, I do think we're going to see a sense of urgency. Like Scooter said when he was training with Tank, I don't want to give out too much people. I don't want to give out too much that was in the interview, so when I drop it. But I will give this little short part about what Scooter mentioned about Tank and Tank. He said the false narrative that Tank wasn't motivated or focused, that's false. He was definitely motivated and focused. That's the one part of that interview I'm gonna give out. Y'all stay tuned when that John drops. So anybody that's watching know that's coming out. Derek Scooter Davis. But he said it. The man was motivated and focused. The thing about this fight though coming up though, I think what we're gonna see is a more determined Tank. I think Tank was more so looking forward. I don't really believe he was going to fight Jake Paul. I don't care what Jake Paul says and how Tank is fucking how Tank is trying to play it. I don't think he's gonna really fight Jake Paul, but he may have, because I can't ever tell somebody to turn down 40 to 50 million for a fight.
That was up in the air because
that's why I said I don't believe it. I think that was a business negotiation from somebody, but I could see it. I could believe it because for 40 to 50 million, I'm getting in there with Jake Paul.
Like I was saying, with that deal that he has with Amazon Prime,
they need to see that money come back somehow, some way. That fight would have did it.
If I would have did it, but
that's what I'm saying. It's something go back to the Tank. Go ahead, JR. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's something though with this rematch because even though it hasn't been official yet, right? Folks kind of know that fight is like pretty much being planned, and yet you have futures. You know how you have the future odds and all that type of stuff,
right?
FanDuel has this fight up. And they have Tank Davis as nearly a 7-1 favorite. And Lamont Roach at about a 4-1 underdog. So they still think it's a sizable difference between Tank and Lamont Roach, even though they saw what happened on March 1st. It's almost like the odds makers are saying like what we saw on March 1st was like a fluke.
What you feel about that, Kev? You didn't let us talk a little bit. Go ahead. What you feel about that?
I think it was a cherry pick going wrong.
You still standing by that, huh? No matter what I say, you standing by that.
It was a cherry pick going wrong, and I say that because I don't see Tank going out his way to get a tough fight. I don't see him looking for a tough fight. I think that there is some merit to the conversation that him and Lamont have some history. Obviously, his dad was his coach in the amateurs or whatever when he coached him to those. I forgot the whole history, but his dad and Tank have some good history.
Yeah, like that's why I said I kind of don't see it. That's another reason why I kind of factor in the KF. Tank when I interviewed Lamont Sr., like when I went to the gym that media day, like Lamont Sr. and Tank love each other. Like Tank had a confidence issue with one of the fights. He was having a trouble with, you know how to, when you amateur fighting, you always got that one or two rivals. It's like, damn, why can't I get this guy at the end? He said Tank, Lamont Sr. basically was able to talk Tank into helping him win that fight.
I think there was some love.
I'm gonna need Kevin Cook on this.
Y'all probably can see this. Remember this.
I'm gonna need Kevin Cook on this one because this is why I said like him being as a fan, why he kind of has a point with Tank, but it's on something else here in a little bit. But I want Kev to continue.
But hold up, Kev. Before you continue, Kev, I'm gonna tell you this, right? I'm gonna let you cook for as long as you want to. The thing about it, if you notice during H1 press conferences, when Lamont Roach Sr. would try to talk shit to Tank, or Tank would try to talk shit to him, they couldn't never be serious with each other too long. It always ended in a smile with them, smiling and laughing at each other. I don't know if you paid attention to that.
Yeah, when they was face to face, they was doing their little, they pulling their pants up and popping their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd always see Lamont Sr. He was good, like he would try to mug him, but then he just ended up smiling, like you giving that look, like damn, I watched you grow up and turning into this.
I also remember Tank trying to point out his dad was stuttering and he was scared.
Yeah. That shit was hilarious. That's why Lamont Sr. was like, that's
no, he was shaking. His dad was shaking. That's what it was.
Yeah, he was like, that's
it was that.
Like them two, like if you ask Lamont Sr. off camera, because I asked him, he was like, man, I'm proud of Tank. The stuff he came from, and I remember using to have to drop him off in Baltimore and bring him down here when Calvin would have to take other fighters places. He was like, seeing what Tank came from, I'm proud of him. Like that shit almost want to bring me.
Tank is from the Tank is from the gutter. Like he's from.
And I'm like, damn, you really love Javante. He's like, hell yeah, I don't call that motherfucking Tank off camera. I call him Javante off camera. I was like, oh yeah, all right. But go ahead, Kev. I'll let you cook.
Yeah, I think it was a cherry pick going wrong. and I look at it because I look at the odds in Vegas. Like Tank was a minus 1,800 favorite. You know what I mean? Which basically means, for the people who listen and may not know, I'm not trying to play nobody, but some people don't understand the numbers. You have to bet $1,800 to win 100 back. So every 1,800 you bet is $100. You bet $3,600, you win 200 back. Only a knucklehead would do that. And Vegas, and I look at Vegas. Vegas know what they're doing, and sometimes they get it wrong. But I don't think they got it wrong based on trying to disrespect Lamont Roach. I just think even Vegas felt what most of us felt. It was a cherry pick. It just happened to go wrong. And I think, I think Lamont has his number, and I think the rematch, honestly, I think in a rematch, I think a rematch is going to be tougher for Tank this time because Lamont kind of has him figured out. And Tank only has really fought one way his whole career. He waits for you to punch. Mm-hmm. And Lamont was baiting him into throwing first. And when Lamont would bait him into throwing first, Lamont would counter him. Now, Tank had some moments, no doubt. I had Lamont winning 116, 112. I actually had my scorecard up on the phone.
You may not agree with my
you had what? I had Lamont 116, 112. I gave Lamont 1, 2, and 3. I gave Tank 4, 5, 6, and 7. I gave Lamont 8 through 12. And I know some people try to give Tank the 9th round. I said, absolutely fucking not. Does Tank get the 9th round after he took a knee and ran to his corner? I don't care what happened before and after that knee. I'm going to hold Gervonta responsible for taking that knee, and I'm going to give Lamont a 10-9 round since he can't get a 10-8 or a 10-7. So I just feel like in the next fight, I think Lamont just really has to do more of the same because I don't think Tank can switch up his whole style in the course of 4 months. You know what I mean? I just don't see a scenario where that happens. 5 months. I don't see where he turns into a brand new fighter. I think he's going to go back and revert to his old ways. Like Terrence Crawford got styles. Terrence Crawford, you want to brawl, let's brawl. You want to box, let's box. How you want to do it? Tank is just relying on counterpunching. And if you're patient, you can get it.
Be honest,
you know why Tank? You know why Tank? I saw people had a 9-3 Roach. I thought that was a little crazy. I've seen 9-3 for Roach, but I think Lamont has Tank number. And I think Lamont. I don't think Lamont stops him, but I think he could put him down. I saw him put him down, but I think it's going to be 2 knees this time.
Jeez. You sound like great now.
I think Lamont got his number. Some dudes just have your number. I don't think Antonio Tarver was better than Roy, but Tarver had his number. I don't think Chad Dawson wasn't better than Bernard, but he had his number. You know what I mean? Like
I didn't think that Vernon Forrest was better than Shane when they first fought, but
he had his number. Some guys just nobody would ever rank.
You just made me because I was watching Shane Mosley last night and I fell asleep watching him. And every time I think of Shane, I'd be like, in my opinion, he's the most underrated fighter. You don't hear Shane get enough.
He was one of my favorites because he was the guy that fought basically like everybody within that 140 and 147 pound division. But to go to Kev's point about being a fan and this thing they had with Tank, right? Think about the landscape that we have at 135 right now. We're gonna have this schedule, right? In a couple weeks, we're gonna see Keyshawn fighting Edwin De Los Santos. He's a WBO champ. The following month, we're gonna have Shakur Stevenson facing William Zepeda. And the following month, because it's basically a formality, they done booked the venue, is going to be Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach Jr., right? Now, if all of the title holders win their bouts, here is where Kev could say, you know what? Especially with Shakur Stevenson and William Zepeda, that you could say Shakur Stevenson don't have to worry about no mandatories or nothing. So that would mean that if Tank wins, some people should be able to rehash the demand for that fight that happened. And I think that would be the time to make that fight take place.
What, Tank and Shakur?
Yes.
I'm going to say this. I beg and I beg and I beg that happens this year or early next year because I'm tired. Honest to God, and I know Abdul, you in here. Abdul is like, he's a LeBron type fan for Floyd. But I'm going to tell you some real shit. Floyd fucked up boxing by doing that Pacquiao shit. I don't want to see Tank and Shakur fight when they're in their mid to late 30s. I want to see them both fight while they right now in their prime.
Yeah, businessman cooking De Los Santos. He's cooking.
Well, apparently, look real quick. This switch gears real fast. I see some contention between Keisha and Shakur.
Thank you, Kev, because I posted that in. I posted that the other day. Hey, Kev, your man Abdul, your tag team troll partner, he ain't comment on that post, and I reposted the screenshot.
I didn't even see your posters. I work overnight. I was asleep all day, but I saw it on Twitter. I seen that they were having words about a fight. Who was it with? Who was the person that they fighting over? They having a tug of war about somebody.
Richardson Hitchens.
Hitchens, yes, Hitchens.
Another guy that won't call out Gary Russell. I need to get up with Africa
I saw that, and my first thought was, shit, we could get Keyshawn and Shakur now. The brotherhood is over. Let's make a fight.
Kev, like, I'm tired of that brotherhood.
My thing is this, as Floyd Jr. likes to say, I don't care if you're brothers, friends, or whatever. Money is money. Step in the ring, have a fight, duke it out, and at the end of the day, y'all gonna make money. I don't see what the issue is.
I think the issue is beating up your brother.
I've seen, what is it? Floyd and Zab. I've seen Crawford and Porter. I've seen Broner and Porter. I've seen multiple examples of guys that have basically grew up with, hey, Tank versus Roach.
Yeah, but I think it was different. The way they explained it was Keyshawn was in a dark place mentally, like he was suicidal. And Shakur pulled him out of it. Shakur pulled him out of that.
He pulled him out of that. Yeah. Guess who else was kind of like suicidal and some other fighter pulled him out of that and they ended up fighting each other? Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Nah, but Deontay was talking crazy to him. He didn't. Were they close though? Were Wilder and Fury close before they fought?
Yes, because they had been working out together in gyms, particularly when the late Emmanuel Stewart had his gym.
Yeah, but I think that's a little different meeting in your 20s as opposed to them meeting when they were kids and making that sort of that promise to each other. So I can understand that. Like, I can understand Errol and Jermell never fighting. I can understand that. You know what I mean? Like, people try to make that fight. I could understand why they wouldn't fight. You know what I mean? I just think I will find it hard to believe that if Keyshawn hurt Shakur, would he run over and try to kill him to end the fight? And would he feel good about it? And how does that relationship go from there? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't think that it'll happen. I mean, like Abdul just said, they gonna argue like brothers, and I'm not gonna fight somebody close to me. I think that's just what it come down to. But I think if we're going to say we're not going to fight, then one of y'all need to leave the division.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Either that, or wait until Abdullah Mason gets to.
That's my young killer right there. That's my guy. Tank, get out the way. That's my man right there.
And you see what he said? He said, "I ain't got no brothers in this. I'll fight any of them."
And Kev, before you try to say, we've seen Abdullah be clipped. We've seen Clarissa get clipped. We've seen my all-time favorite. The last time I only had one single favorite boxer, Andre Ward, get clipped and took an. We've seen Floyd get clipped. He just held on for dear life on that man Shane Mosley's arm like it was tug of war. So that's why he ain't get dropped. We've seen a lot of greats get clipped and get up and still win.
You seen Terrence Crawford get clipped.
And he held on to the man's waist so it looked like a slip.
Who you talking about? Terrence Crawford and Mean Machine?
Yeah.
That was a slip.
He
pushed him down.
That was I hit you dip and dip.
I was at that fight too. I was there.
You like that, JR? That was you dip.
Let me ask you this. That's one person we never talked about. Smitty was Bud. How you feel about Bud?
I like Bud, right? My thing is this, right? I think Bud.
Here we go. I knew it. Come on, go ahead. Let me get it.
I'm not in the business of protecting my favorite fighters. My other favorite fighter wanted to fight my other favorite fighter. And you saying at the time he wasn't, if I'm not mistaken, the boots was Bud's mandatory after that Earl fight. That was part of the little tension that Boots and PVC had because he wasn't getting the fights he felt he deserved or warranted. They kept promising they was gonna give him that. They didn't give him it. All right, cool. But he was your mandatory. You chasing a Canelo fight that didn't happen until almost 3 years later. You dropped the belt and move up. Why not spank him? That man calling you out. And it's not like he's just a scrub clout chasing like the dude Dean.
But we can't.
Boots was calling you out, and you got the proven track record to call you out.
But we can't forget. We cannot forget that when Boots had the opportunity to fight Bud, he removed himself from the sanctioning rankings or whatever it was, and he went after Errol Spence.
No.
It's all heavy.
Tell me what happened, JR. You got a better memory than me.
No.
It's the boxing source.
First of all, here's the understanding. Both parties
gonna gang
knew.
up on me now. All right, go ahead.
Nah, I'm not saying nothing. I'm letting the source cook because I knew you could bring that up.
Both parties knew what Terrence Crawford's his mission was. It was undisputed. It was Errol Spence, and that's it. So it wouldn't have mattered if Boots Ennis was the IBF mandatory or the WBO mandatory, because Terrence Crawford was the WBO champion. He had a WBO mandatory due. It was due before that fight against Errol Spence Jr. Okay? The guy that was a WBO mandatory was under Golden Boy. What happened when that mandatory was called? Did anything happen? Did he get stripped? No. So either way, if Boots was at IBF or WBO, if the mandatory was called at that time as a WBO mandatory, it wouldn't have mattered because unifications trump mandatories. He wouldn't have got stripped under the WBO. Now IBF enforces their mandatory. So Boots was like, okay, I could be the IBF guy. So either it's going to be Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. Whoever wins, I'm next. Terrence Crawford wins, Boots won it next. Regardless of what Terrence Crawford was going to decide, if it was going to be Boots, it is Boots. If it's going to be a rematch with Errol, then he was going to get stripped. It happens in every single division. Canelo got stripped of the IBF. Usyk got stripped of the IBF. Actually, Canelo got stripped by the IBF twice. So Boots being in the IBF just said, hey, one way or another, either y'all going to fight me or you're going to get stripped because I'm in the IBF. So that's where that stems from.
Well, I'll say this. I know Terrence Crawford basically said he would only stay at 47 for a rematch with Errol Spence, because if I'm going to fight you, I'm going to fight you for something. I ain't going to fight you for nothing. I'm not going to 54 to give you a rematch for nothing. We're going to fight for what we fought for the first time. Outside of that, I'm going to 154. So I can't get mad at Bud for moving up. But I will say this. I think Bud would have beat Boots, and I think he would have probably made it look rather easy.
Why? Because Boots takes.
I know that sounds crazy, but I think. No, I don't know. It's boxing. Boxing.
I think Bud didn't fight Boots because Boots was a threat. Boots is a threat because Boots has the same power as Bud.
Well, if you fight Boots and you have an off night, you don't get Canelo. So I'm not going to I'm not going to fight this dude for $6 million, fuck around and lose and miss out on my $50 million. Fuck out of here. I'll catch this nigga on the back end.
Yeah, but I don't think Canelo was really on the radar until they absolutely positively knew that Errol Spence wasn't coming back. Because even with their rematch,
for a while.
Because even with that rematch, right? The plan was a rematch, and if he got that win, then Jermell Charlo.
He ducked out on Charlo. In the way he was
Charlo, right?
Who ducked out on Charlo? Bud?
Yes.
Jermell Charlo.
Oh, no. Charlo ran for Bud. Y'all crazy.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm sorry.
Charlo ran from
the way he talked to Charlo so dirty that night, he violated that man. He invited him to his private parts, called him out his name.
Nuts and said, you a bitch ass nigga. Yo, he grabs his nuts, said, you a bitch ass nigga, and you next.
Yeah, he told him there. Charlo got disrespected.
Charlo, he disrespected Charlo so bad, Charlo was copping a plea to James Harden. James Harden didn't know what he was talking about.
Oh yeah, James Harden
I
asked
did
me,
get it.
"What are you talking about right now?"
Oh,
James, yo, listen,
James
man.
Harden looked at him and said, "What are you
No.
talking about right now?"
so
Charlo fought Canelo and disappeared.
And
And
Charlo
when
got
Bud
a
said,
little bit of
well,
money and he
when
came back.
Bud said
you can
when
blame
Bud said I'm
Jamal
moving up,
Charlo for that.
when
Yeah,
Bud
now
said
that
when
I
Bud, bro, a couple weeks ago, Bud said I'm probably not going to come back to 154 after I fight Canelo. I'm going to drop the belt and I'm going to go fight Canelo. Charlo dropped a hype video about his return the next day. I said, this nigga's a bitch. I said, you can't make this shit up. I said, you can't make this shit up. He dropped a hype video the next day, 24 hours later, after
He
Bud said,
definitely
I'm
did. I
dropping the
remember
belt and I
that
ain't coming
video.
I
back.
don't even
I
know
said,
when
man,
Jamel Charlo's
man,
coming
these
back.
niggas, I said, Terrence Crawford got these niggas scared, bro. I said, it ain't no way this man beat your homeboy up in front of you. Gave him the ass whooping of a generation. Came over to you in front of your wife and told you what he was going to do to you next. And you ain't go to your promoter like, yo, I don't care what y'all got going on. I need him now. I need that right now. I need that. As soon as he's coming to 54, I need that. I need it. He showed no interest in it.
Before
None.
you respond to him,
Here's the problem.
JR, before you respond, I got to answer Abdul. Hey, Smitty, I got to call you out there. You just said you can't knock a man for choosing a bat. Canelo fight is bigger than a bat.
Oh, he did get you because you said that about Tank and Jake Paul.
I definitely said that. But let me address the elephant in the room. Let me address the elephant. I said that. Absolutely. I definitely said that bet. I definitely said that. But at the time when Boots was calling Bud, Canelo was not on Bud's radar. Charlo was on Bud's radar. That's the same. That's kind of an equal amount of money right there. Charlo and Boots. Right or wrong?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Huh?
I said at the time when Boots was screaming Bud's name out, Canelo wasn't on Bud's radar. A Charlo, everybody thought that fight was going to happen. Boots and Charlo. Charlo probably would have got you paid a little bit more, but not a whole lot more. Because of Boots, remember when Boots was screaming the name out, it was a lot of buzz. Everybody was like, hell yeah, let's see that.
I don't know. But the thing with Jamal, right? He kind of messed that whole thing up. Because Canelo was supposed to fight Jamal Charlo. And because Jamal Charlo had them issues, it ended up being Jermell Charlo stepping in. And because Jermell stepped in and went through those 12 rounds with Canelo, we didn't necessarily get a fight between Terrence Crawford and Jermell Charlo. Now, for some reason, can't really say it, Jermell Charlo ain't getting back in the ring. He's supposed to be back by now. It's crazy. We're getting Jamal Charlo back in the ring before Jermell Charlo, and Jamal Charlo's the one that a lot of people feel like is the one that's having a lot of problems. But yeah, he's about to get right back in the ring here next Saturday. And we ain't seen Jermell since that Canelo fight. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But with Crawford, he kind of seen that he wasn't getting the Spence rematch, right? Because he kind of let Spence, he said, you know what? I know, some things happened in that fight. Cool. I could let you have a one-off if it was going to be against Sebastian Fundora, right? That's why even with him having a fight against Crawford against Madrimov, he said, even if I'm the mandatory for Sebastian Fundora, I won't go ahead and have him get stripped. You could go ahead and fight Fundora. That way, if you fight him and you win, then we have the rematch. And that rematch could have been possibly for Undisputed at 154. But once they realized that Spence wasn't really coming back, that's when he started to say, hey, maybe I could get this thing here with Canelo Alvarez. And that is where this basically stems from, is that Crawford really wanted that rematch with Errol Spence. But once he realized Errol Spence really ain't coming back, then he kind of changed his plans and diverted it a little bit. And given the timing, this is like the biggest fight that could be made at this point. Is him versus Canelo Alvarez. And as of right now, I really don't have that much issue with it, given that both fighters have kind of like did what they did in their careers. You know what? Is in Marlins there. He saw who got slapped by Caleb Plant. Mill, I respect a bit more for stepping in and taking on Canelo. I mean, you know.
I saw Jamel start crying after he lost to Tony Harrison, talking about, I don't even like to play video games because I don't like losing, with tears running out. Man, y'all both soft. These both soft, man. Now I talk about I don't disrespect fighters, but I think if there's one fighter I don't like, it's Jermell Charlo. I don't like Jermell Charlo.
I'm not the first person I heard say that.
I don't like the tough guy act.
To be honest with you, Jermell Charlo is somebody say good for boxing because he can talk trash and kind of like agitate. You know,
it's okay to smile, man. It's okay to have a good time.
That's why that was a running joke. That was a running joke. Do all the bullshit. He's like,
that was a running joke.
On the flip side, Jermell Charlo went through the gauntlet.
Yeah, but that was a joke.
So don't try to sneak Tank into the convo. I'm gonna take ass. Don't try that.
No, I'm saying, but
hey, JR, you see each other sneak Tank in?
Yeah, you know I had to sneak my midget homeboy in there. That's my man.
Now they said the running joke with Jermell Charlo is he be angry so much that he wake up angry.
He's a miserable dude. I don't think he's mean. I think he's miserable. Yeah. And it don't resonate. It don't resonate with me as a boxing fan. I don't need a boxer to make me feel good. Like people say they don't like Bud because he don't got no personality. I don't care. He go in there and knock people. He go in there and knock people out. But
you know what's crazy though? You know what's crazy? I heard someone I forgot who I was talking to or who I was on. I think when it was me, JR, I think it was me that night. It was me, you, Jamel from YSM, and Topic was on. And remember we was talking about Topic was like, man, but Boots don't got no personality. And that's when we was all, me, you, and Mel was like, Jamel was like, shit, Boots just want to go in there, get his money, and whoop some ass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
There's nothing wrong with that. I like my fighters that want to do that.
Come on. Miguel Cotto didn't have personality, but he's what is he, the 2022 International Boxing Hall of Fame inductee? He was in that class with like the 3 classes at once, but he didn't really have personality. You talk to him, you could barely hear him when he speak. So what's the difference between like someone like a Cotto and someone like Boots? Boots is just there to go in there and take care of business and knock his opponents out. You don't necessarily have to have personality. At times it helps there being as a fighter, as a professional fighter, but if you don't have that, then you don't have that. You know what I mean? So George Foreman didn't really have personality when he started out his career.
Nope.
He had to grow into that.
Like, I don't need you to have personality, but I think Jamel's personality to me, it doesn't seem authentic. It seems forced.
It feels like he's trying to play.
It feel like he overcompensated for something. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Like the big Charlo, Jamal don't really carry and stuff like that. Jermell just seems like he's just mad at the world all the time, and it's just like, bro, get a grip. And again, I don't need a fighter to make me feel good about him. The energy is just like,
said like Tio.
Tio's just a weirdo.
Nah,
Tio just a guy that's been getting robbed of his money and now he wants to get it.
I'm gonna attach myself to the 2 most dangerous fighters in the sport today, even though I know they both got shit going on, and I'm just gonna pretend I want to fight them.
Right.
Yeah, but you want Boots and Terrence. Wait, but think about this. You wanted Boots and Devin. I mean, you wanted Boots and Terrence, but you didn't want Devin.
Yeah,
make some sense for me. Yeah, because he full of shit,
happened in that sparring, he ain't like.
Yeah, for sure.
Something happened a lot of times.
Devin Haney is the undisputed lightweight champion, not Teofimo, and yet he didn't want smoke with Devin at 35.
When these dudes was all younger, first coming up, starting to make their names, they would spar each other. A lot of them sparred each other. They don't want that smoke with each other because a lot of them sat there and said, nah, that sparring ain't go as good as I'm not fighting him. I'm telling y'all, and sparring Sparring be changing a lot of dudes' MOs on who they
Sparring
want
and
to
the
fight.
amateurs, all of
Yeah.
those guys, they come from the same class each wave. They come from the same
Hey,
class.
hey,
Tank,
real quick,
Evan,
fellas.
Ryan, Shakur, T.O., Rolly, all around that same class. Like now you got what? Moulton and who you say, Zakeem Moses and them, all coming from the same class. Like they all know each other. So it's like there's some people that you're like, yeah, you could go ahead and step in the ring with them, but there's others that you're like, no, we want to stay far away from them, you know. And
Hey,
they know
fellas,
that.
real fast. Let me go ahead and jump off. I got to get back to work, man. I got to get out and actually do some work in a couple minutes. Smitty, I'm gonna send you a message. Fellas, I'm gonna get with y'all
All
later.
right,
JR,
go ahead,
nice
man.
meeting
It
you,
was
bro.
good rapping with
And
you, Kev. You know we gonna
I'm
do this again
gonna have
next
some.
week.
I'm gonna have some free time on Monday night, so link up with me Monday. I'll get with you
I
Monday.
got you. I'll be back on Monday, so definitely.
Hey,
All right, fellas. So y'all
hey,
be
for
safe.
sure,
Nice
Theo.
meeting you, brother.
Yeah, no doubt, yo.
All right, I'll talk to y'all.
Yes,
For
sir.
sure. All right,
Yeah,
yo,
so
Smitty.
yo, go ahead.
I wanted to get into this because you talked about our last conversation that we had, with like Jamil and Topic, and one of the things that there was the whole little discussion that we're having in reference to Boots Ennis and Teofimo Lopez,
Right.
and how Topic was trying to bring up Teofimo Lopez and his standing, I guess, what he did at 135 and 140. Earlier what we could technically say yesterday. We just folks seen Josh Taylor go up against Eko Esuman over in the UK and end up losing by unanimous decision.
Mm-hmm.
So ever since Teal's bout with Josh Taylor, Taylor has lost twice.
Right.
Sometimes when people bring up pound for pound lists and they have certain fighters that are on the list, one of the things that they bring up is the resume of that fighter and the opponents that they have faced. And one thing that they do is they talk about who those opponents fought before fighting the guy in the top pound for pound list and what they did afterwards.
Right.
Especially what they did afterwards. Right. With Teofimo Lopez, he's been in a discussion. But when you have your wins be Vasyl Lomachenko and Josh Taylor that stand out, right? And Lomachenko loses to Devin Haney. Josh Taylor loses in his rematch to Jack Catterall and now against Eko Esuman. Then those wins don't really hold as much weight as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
So then now you look at Teofimo Lopez and you're
That's
like,
what I was just arguing with somebody with earlier when I was like, Tank resume kind of looking a little better because everybody tried to disqualify the Ryan victory, saying, "Oh, Ryan's this, he's that, he was just weight drained, he was this," but then he got smoked by a guy that everybody worldwide says he's ass, he's not a good fighter, he's this and that.
but
so now it's looking like,
right?
hold up, now that man beat Rolly and that man beat Pitbull, outboxed him with a fractured hand. And he beat Pedraza when Pedraza was one of the top 5 lightweights in the world. Never been knocked down, never lost a fight.
And they put Ryan up there when at the time Ryan had that decision win over Devin Haney, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were putting that as part of Tank's resume. But in the flip side here with Teofimo Lopez, who could you have there that stands out? Yeah, there's Vasyl Lomachenko, who did eventually become an IBF champion, but that's basically going to be his last fight of his career against George Kambosos, right? So now you have the thing here with Josh Taylor, who, after becoming undisputed champion, had one fight against Jack Catterall, who some felt like he lost to. And then after that, he ended up forfeiting all but one of his titles before fighting Teofimo Lopez. Has his fight with Teo, and then ever since has lost twice. So that kind of like goes into, okay, how strong is Teofimo Lopez's resume if this is going to basically happen to a number of his opponents? So that's number one. And number two with Teo, as we were talking about earlier, Why is it that he is going to try to quote unquote call out somebody that he has no real affiliation with when you got people within your own division that you haven't even sniffed yet?
Gary Antoine,
Gary
Devin,
Antoine Russell,
Richardson Hitchens.
Richardson Hitchens, Subriel Matias,
Mm,
Alberto Puello.
mm.
You got all of those guys right there in your division, and you don't want any smoke with any of those guys? That doesn't make much sense to me.
It don't make any sense. Not much. It don't make any. That's what I'm saying. Like I ain't gonna lie. Like Kev said, I used to be T.O. used to be my favorite 140 pounder. Till he started all the weird shit. First he went at Bud weird, then he went at Tank weird. I'm like, come on, bro. Then I started looking deep in this situation. I'm like, are you trying to get out that contract? You hoping Top Rank could try to drop you for racial issues so you can go re-up with either Turkey or PBC or Matchroom or something. So I know what you got going on here. I dig it. But then he keep doing it. Then the whole situation where he tried to play it like he said liquor when we know he didn't say liquor. He said the hard ER. I'm like, come on, bro. Now you just on some next shit.
And the thing was, when that was basically out there, I had initially messaged the president of the WBO.
I seen the interview you did. I watched the clips. I tuned in.
Yeah. But I should have taken it a step further in reference to that. It shouldn't have just been with the WBO. It should also be with Ring Magazine. He is Ring Magazine champion.
And that's my thing is, I remember when Adrian Bronner said, I just beat the out of a Mexican and he talked some other stuff. They suspended him for a year.
So what does Ring Magazine
you can't say it's because of money, because at that time, AB was the cash cow.
And that's the thing too. How are you going to, as I would say, reward a fighter by having him fight someone when he's had those type of antics? Now, the word is that they did it because it was basically a favor of sorts, right? And so after what happened in May, a couple of weeks ago, they were going to take it a step further. And that's why Boot's name was brought up as a potential opponent for T.O. Because they said, you know what? We're tired of this dude.
You think they trying, like Greg Hackett said, you think they trying to backdoor?
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's the thing that he was saying a few days ago when the whole thing with Tim Bradley was brought up. As Tim Bradley was talking about, T.O. has a real shot to beat Boots and he could do this, and he has IQ and all that type of stuff. That it could be something to try to bait. To kind of like have it as bait because they want people to talk about that fight to see if it could potentially happen so that they could quote unquote justify it. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And as I mentioned before, it was brought up last year because they were fed up with them last year. It just didn't come to fruition at that time because one, Boots didn't have any interest in the fight, as he still doesn't. And two,
go undisputed. Boots saying
he was in the undisputed thing.
Boots basically telling the world, I'm fighting for legacy. He took less money than Stanionis to fight Stanionis.
Yeah. Now, and the thing about it is that at that time he had it to where another fighter within Matchroom was a mandatory for the WBA, so it made it a little bit easier to try to make that fight because they could say, hey, we'll give you this money to step aside to make this fight happen, and you can still fight on that card. Now you have this instance where you have the WBC champion going up against Manny Pacquiao. You have the WBO champion facing Jin Sasaki, and I have the rankings pulled up. Jin Sasaki ain't necessarily the mandatory challenger. So that's basically a voluntary defense. So you mean to tell me that you, and yes, I did have a conversation with Brian Norman's manager, but
in that interview to AC and Jolene.
Yeah, with AC, you couldn't wait to get something in the works to try to have that fight take place.
And this is my only issue, and I love Brian Norman Sr. That's my guy, right? I got an issue to pick with Bernie the Boxer. I don't know if you're familiar with Bernie the Boxer.
Yeah, I know who Bernie the Boxer is. I've been around them. I've been out there in the Top Rank gym when they
Yeah,
had
you know
workouts.
he trains. You know he's from the same city as Bud. He works out with a lot of
Yeah.
Sean
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
Bernie the Boxer was on Mill City Boxing a little while ago when the Tank and Lamont fight was set up. And he said Tank is disrespectful to the sport. He's this and that. He's chasing the money. He's bringing in the money. He's bringing down the value. You fast forward to now, he was on Mill City again. It was him, Greg Hackett, Brian Norman Sr., and Mill. Mill, he's sitting there laughing because he's the mediator. Brian Norman and Greg, you could look at their faces and say you could tell they didn't agree with it. They didn't like that, but they messed with Bernie. So they didn't really want to say nothing.
Mm.
But Bernie said, why would Brian Norman rush to fight Boots? Man, you got that belt now. You supposed to let me make sure everybody see my face when I say it. You got that belt now. You supposed to try to milk the cow as much as you can. Get all the money you can on the body got them belts. And I scratched my head because I like Bernie. I fuck with Bernie. He's funny and he knows boxing. But I got to call him out on that one because I'm like, that's kind of odd. You said that you had a complete different tone for Tank. But now for Brian Norman Jr., you got the same thing you grinded Tank up about you okaying for Brian Norman. Now one could say, he doing that because you know he cool with Kerr in their camp. So that camp want the Kerr and Tank fight. I agree. I think the whole world kind of wants that fight.
Mm.
But my whole thing is you got to keep the same energy. You know how we tell dudes if you say something crazy on this internet about any of these athletes, make sure when you see them, you keep that same energy. Don't grind Tank up. Tank tells you he about a bag, and then you grind him up about that. But then you got another guy that you telling him, man, chase that money first before you go after that title defense. Now, albeit his point might be because he has Boots winning, so he's like, man, bro, Boots gonna beat you. He just ain't gonna say that in front of Brian Norman Sr. because he ain't feel like arguing with him that day. But that might be his reasoning. But still, the way he said it and put it out, it seemed like a whole different narrative and story.
Yep. You've been in a conversation with a couple of folks that's been in the business and in a recent conversation with my guy YSM. So he's basically linked for Boots Ennis, right?
Right.
Now, this is to one point, and this is to fans and folks that like have these channels or whatever it is, and you talk about like same energy, right? When Boots Ennis became the IBF welterweight champion because of Terrence Crawford moving up to 154, what did a lot of fans call Boots Ennis once he got that IBF welterweight title? They said he was
champ. They called him an email champ.
Okay. So with that being said, and then with Brian Norman Jr. stopping who he stopped there in California to become the WBO interim champion and then eventually becoming the WBO welterweight champion, where was that energy? That's on one side. The other thing is this to the whole thing with Bernie the Boxer.
My guy Abdul, appreciate you.
Getting the money is one thing, right? But it's a way to do it. And it basically depends on what you've done and what your promotional company thinks of you. Okay. Now we got Brian Norman Jr. He gets that stoppage win to become WBO interim champion, and he's eventually elevated to WBO full champion. Their initial plan with Brian Norman Jr. was the first defense against Derek Cuevas, and was going to be on that fight card with Keyshawn and Gustavo Lemos. That tells you initially what they kind of think about you as being a world champion. Now, with him having an injury and then him getting back, Where do they put him on with that same fight? In a fight card at the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas on the undercard of Sandy Ryan versus Michaela Mayer.
He took a lot of heat in the media for that fight too.
Okay.
People were calling him, "Oh, you fighting this chick? You fighting on a female undercard when you could have been fighting Boots on a main event." He took a lot. I remember all that.
Okay, so then that's one. And then here's the other thing too. When it is told that Brian Norman Sr. basically called out Boots Ennis, saying that you're something if you don't fight Brian Norman next. And then y'all have a fight within weeks of each other. And you mean to tell me that y'all are going in a different direction? Not even trying to negotiate or try to open things up? Because that whole stuff about the 1.5 and 1.7 and all that, that was last year. That isn't this year. That was last year. So as far as I know, there wasn't even anything discussed about a potential fight. So if you're going to go ahead and have this fight against Jen Psaki, I can't really say much about that. But now, by doing that, and then we had this situation here with Mario Barrios, Smitty, you said that Boots was trying to become undisputed, right?
Right. That's at least what him and the team put out.
Right. So if you work to get the WBA title and you got that fight, you know what you're trying to do next. You're trying to go after one of those guys.
Right.
But if they don't necessarily want to go ahead and have that fight next, and you've been at 147 for a long time, there's only one potential thing that you can do. And I feel like it's the best move for him on two fronts. One, because on the WBC side, you got Barrios facing Manny Pacquiao. Regardless of who wins, well, actually, no. If Mario Barrios wins, imagine what that does for him as far as like his value or what he feels like his worth is. And compare that to Boots Ennis. You think that potential fight is going to really generate the type of money that both fighters are going to ask for? No.
Nah.
Then on the other side, you got Brian Norman Jr. Are you going to wait until maybe November, late October, early November, to
possibly December
to potentially have a fight, especially when y'all already entered negotiations with them before and they wouldn't be necessarily down for what they initially got offered? No. So guess what? If there's an opportunity for me to move up, I'll move up. What is Brian Norman going to do if Boots moves up? He just had the WBO belt. And the IBF and WBA, guess what? They're going to still be under Matchroom because you got the mandatory, that's a Matchroom fighter. IBF will be vacant and they'll be fought under Matchroom. So where else you going to go? It ain't like Barrios and Pacquiao, because guess what? The winner of that could potentially face Rolly Romero, who's a WBA regular champion. So for Brian Norman, now what are you going to do? It's a bad move by him. I mean, that's just me being honest.
Ain't nothing wrong. You got to be honest. One thing about it, if you gonna lie to a person, they gonna move by him. You a person right more than they honor a lie. So
yeah. Hey. My thing was, it's not like he's like a transitional fighter. What I mean by that is, if they get a belt, because he just happened to stumble on the belt, and regardless of who the other title holders are, if he fought those guys, he would lose to them. No, we're not necessarily saying that. What I'm saying is that at the time, that was his most lucrative fight, was with Boots. Because we ain't necessarily sure that he would be able to face a Mario Barrios or maybe a Rolly Romero or somebody like that. So if you have that shot, you go ahead and take that. I don't see what the issue was, but like I said, I mean, shout out to Adrian Clark. He does what he does for his fighters, but this time around, you only have a short shelf time to try to take advantage of what's out there. And if you can't get it now, when are you going to get it?
And what you gonna wait to 154? And there ain't no guarantee them things will be around at 154.
Exactly.
But man, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Everybody that tuned in tonight, Abdul, thanks. Shout out to my man Sabri stopping through. Kicked off the show talking basketball, Sixers basketball. Anybody that was there early, I went off earlier on Embiid, man. That joint will be up. If you missed it, I'm gonna make sure that clips up. I definitely went off on Embiid. Shout out to my guy, everybody that stopped by to talk basketball. And most definitely shout out to my two guys, Kev and the Boxing Source, JR, the Boxing Source, man. Y'all both came through. We had a good night of addressing the elephant in the room. We talked about a lot involving boxing, this T.O. situation, T.O. versus Boot situation, Bud, the Tank and Lamont fight, the Tank situation, the Amazon deal. We talked about a lot. So if you missed the live, it is on the YouTube, it's on the Facebook, and I have clips up on Instagram and TikTok, man. I'm gonna let the source before we get out of here tell y'all where y'all can find them at, so y'all know for all y'all that's in here, man.
Yeah, the Boxing Source on YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook. Got the Boxing Source podcast scheduled for Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. For basically later on, trying to get we're scheduled to have Kelvin Davis on. So just working on that. I gotta make sure that's locked down. And then like I said, midweek report Wednesdays. But hey, the Boxing Source, just look that up. You'll be able to see my page wherever you go.
Got you, man. Once again, I appreciate everybody that stopped through, comment. If you haven't, make sure to support the podcast, man. Like, subscribe to the channel. All you gotta do is hit that subscribe button on both of our channels. Like, comment, share, man. Word of mouth gets around, man. The bigger the pot, the more conversation and topics both of us got. You're gonna constantly see Smitty the elephant in the room, addressing the elephant in the room, in the Boxing Source. You're gonna see both of us, whether I'm on his platform, he on mine, whether you see us combined on Instagram, you're gonna see it. Instagram for me, Smitty_G3Zs. Smitty G's on Twitter, aka X. It's the elephant in the room, Smitty. On Facebook, it's Smitty Lewis Sr. You check in, man. I got an interview with Scooter Davis, Derek Davis, one of the hottest commodities out of Maryland right now. Man/DC is going to be on that Keyshawn Davis undercard. That's coming out soon. Be on the lookout. And I just did an interview earlier with Dennis Thompson, one of the guys that's in the Boot stable. He's out of Philly, out of North Philly. I just did an live interview that's on the page right now. Click live, check it out. And everybody, man, thanks for coming, man. We'll be back Monday afternoon for some more. You might see me tomorrow night on the Boxing Source, too. So stay tuned, man. Appreciate y'all.
All right, for sure.